Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert. Italian by birth, American by choice. Songwriter, poet, freedom activist, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid.
Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Don't forget to go also on www.lovegunsfreedom.com that you can hear, you can listen not just today's show, but also all our archives. As I said many times, probably many of you thinking that I'm kind of boring, always repeating the same thing every Sunday. The purpose of the show, it is not to give you some sort of a warm, fuzzy feeling on Sunday, or, I don't know, entertain you while you drive it. No, sorry about that. You have, I'm sure, many other options and choices. The purpose of this show, for me, is an act of love, to try to wake up. Everybody is listening. In this case, my fellow Americans, since I am now here with you, my dear brothers and sisters, that we must wake up because this country, this republic, it is pretty much in mortal danger. We are pretty much right now at the last gasp, the last few minutes before midnight. And now even the zombies start to understand what's going on. A few years ago, probably people thought we were a bunch of crazies, conspiracy theorists. You know, when was Bush? After all, the Patriot Act wasn't that bad because it's Bush. Now with Obama, the National Defense Authorization Act, the military's civilian force, Homeland Security, billions of rounds, armored vehicles, no due process. We are pretty much right now in another America, and we can smell it. Even the idiots now can see it. Now, when I come here to the show, it is not just to freak you out, because I always say the first thing we need to understand the problem. We must admit that there is a problem. After that we understand there is a problem, we must find solutions. I'm not here to try to cry over and over. No, I'm trying here to, first of all, wake you up and then motivate you, hopefully, all of us, to learn from each other. And how can we stop this tyranny? And I don't care if you're right wing, left wing, middle wing, libertarians. We are all Americans, and we're all in danger. Now, today's show, it is very important because I've been given a YouTube a few days ago about this documentary. It's called MOLON LABE, from the ancient Greek. Come and take it. I was able to pretty much talk to the director and the mind behind this documentary. His name is James Jaeger. And why I wanted to bring him in? Because these type of documentaries, this type of videos, they are for me the most important ammunitions, the most important weapons to defend this republic. We want to first wake up the people and understand, and more important, share with them that we have rights. And one of the most important rights that defends all other rights is the Second Amendment. You may like it or not. You don't have to. But it's there for us, American people. And more important now, we need to understand the role of the militia. Militia, we've been brainwashed by the propaganda, by the school systems, by the media, control media, that it is a bad word. You must be with the militia. No, the militia is the best thing pretty much America offered since the beginning of this country, because the militia created this country. The blood of American citizen soldiers. We didn't have the regular mercenary army or the professionals. We were Americans first, citizen, and also our duty was to defend our farms, our cities, our freedom. So the militia, it's a very important role that unfortunately they try to destroy. Now, why we need to go and learn? This MOLON LABE documentary is very important, but more important now, let's talk with James Jaeger, the mind behind this documentary. Mr. Jaeger, are you there?
Hi, Lucia. Thanks for having me on the show.
Very good. I hope I was clear enough. Sometimes I start to rant. You know, as you hear from my accent, I wasn't born here. I became a naturalized American in 2005. But one of the first thing I wanted to learn, since even before I was in America, was about the Bill of Rights. Because in Europe, for example, in Italy, where I'm from, we don't have Bill of Rights. We are just pretty much subjects, and all we have to do work and pay taxes. That's pretty much the story. So the Second Amendment in Italy does not exist, like in the rest of the world, probably. Now, please tell us, first of all, a little bit about you, because I'm reading your biography. You are an interesting guy that you've been been in the movie business for a while. Who is James Jaeger?
Well, Lucia, first of all, am I pronouncing that right? Lucia or Luca?
Luca is better. Lucia is kind of exotic. I like it, but Luca is better. It's my near name, Luca. Go ahead.
Right. Well, as one American citizen to another, I'd like to welcome you here to this country. And I tell you, I wish more citizens like you would move into this country, citizens that appreciate one of the reasons this country is exceptional. A lot of people don't understand that what unites us all here as Americans is not our color or our religion or our beliefs, but it's a common appreciation for the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. That's what makes us all common, and that is what unifies all of us, and that's why we're unique here in this country, because the Constitution, with principles such as the Second Amendment, it's the first time anything like this is ever done in world history. You said you come from Europe. Well, you know, Europe, just in the last century, has been fighting war after war. And then prior to that, when the colonists came over here, there was always turmoil. And the colonists, they said, the founding fathers said, well, let's try to put together a new deal, a new country. Let's try to reinvent the whole thing and try to build a constitution and a system of government that's going to benefit we the people, that's going to make the people the sovereigns and the government the servant. So they really turned things upside down, Luca.
Yes, and that's also another important thing. You know, I have sometimes, a lot of friends from Italy or other parts of Europe that they still don't understand. And honestly, with all the respect to my friends, I don't really care, because sometimes, I'm trying to explain the concept that when only the professionals, that means only the government and the mafia has guns, we are all in trouble. But that's the problem. America is a very unique country, as you said. There has never been an experiment like this, where pretty much the founders created a system where the last line of the defense against tyranny, it is not just another tyrant, but it's we the people. All the power at the end stay in the people. And this is something that is very unique concept. So now, we know you did this documentary for a reason. You didn't want just to do MOLON LABE because you have nothing better to do. It's a very powerful documentary. It's a very strong message. This is coming straight directly from the Spartans during the invasion of Persia. I remember when I used to study ancient history, the point was, come and take it. You want our weapons, we will not surrender them, and we will die fighting if we have to. So this is a very strong message. Why did you get inspired to pretty much put this effort to put out this incredible documentary?
Well, the inspiration for the movie was a book by Edwin Vieira Jr. called The Sword and Sovereignty, which your listeners can get at Amazon. And Dr. Vieira has studied the Constitution for many decades. He's a constitutional attorney with 4 degrees from Harvard, so he's really specialized in this area of the Second Amendment and the various other aspects of the Constitution. And basically what people don't understand about the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, which goes a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be abridged. The very first 4 words of this, a well-regulated militia, are so often misunderstood that we thought we would make a movie that basically explained those first 4 words.
Yes, because if I want to play the devil's advocate, sometimes I have these people that I don't know if they are just in good faith stupid or they are just having a terrible agenda, or maybe they are both, okay? They say, okay, we are talking about the National Guard. And listen, I say, guys, even an idiot like me coming from Italy, that I was even born here, I know very well the National Guard did not exist since the beginning of the beginning of the century. With the National Guard, there was a piece of legislation of early 1900. But more important, this is an individual right, the right of the people. It doesn't say the right of the state, okay? So anyway, that's why it's so important we start to re-educate ourselves that the Second Amendment, first of all, is not a collective right, And well-organized militia doesn't mean that there must be something coming down just for them, because every one of us, every man and woman, and also look at your state constitution. For example, in our Arizona constitution, we have it pretty much in our Arizona revised statute that we are the unorganized militia. Every man from 18 to 45, automatically it is within the militia. Now, tell me more about this concept, please.
That's right, Luca. There's 5 reasons why we have the inalienable right to keep and bear arms. The first reason could be said for sports, target shooting. The second reason is for hunting for food. The third reason is to defend ourselves personally. The fourth reason is as a deterrent against tyranny. And the fifth reason is to serve and do one's duty as a member of the militia of their state. Mm-hmm. And you hear people get a little confused about this. Some people think, that it's just an individual right and you have to be in the militia. Well, actually, it's all of that. You have an individual right to be armed to protect yourself, but you also have, under the Constitution, a duty to be armed because you need to protect the whole country. And right now, we've turned into a police state because the police are not even mentioned in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. Nowhere in the Constitution are police forces of the National Guard mentioned. Basically, the police turned out to are basically a mercenary group that has been hired. What happened is, briefly, back in the colonial days, everybody was in the militia, all able-bodied men and women for the first 300 years, actually 150 years prior to the signing of the Constitution and 150 years after. And what happened is people started hiring people to do their militia jobs, and the people that they started hiring ended up being the police force. But yes, we're way off base right now. We need to revitalize the militia of the several states.
Yes. On top, there's this effort from the federal government, not just now with Obama. This is started way before, even talking with Clinton, to federalize all the different systems of local police with federal grants, with contracts. So pretty much now what's happening, we are facing the same concept like most of Europe and the rest of the world has. It's a state police. Pretty much that, right. And that's why I think it was so important to keep all the different police independent, all the different jurisdictions, because if there is, for example, a corruption in one part of America, you know that this is not going to be contaminating the rest of the states or the rest of the communities. Instead, now we have a centralized form of tyranny that pretty much is contaminating and trying to destroy everything when it comes down to individual rights and constitution all over the states. Because now with these, for example, programs like grants, federal grants like the 1033 program, they're trying to give away, that is still something that we pay anyway with our federal tax dollars, but still they give away these armored vehicles or military-grade weapons. And, of course, when the local law enforcement sign the agreement, pretty much they become some sort of servant of the federal government, and especially when it comes down to counties. That I'm sure you're familiar with the case Sheriff Mack Prince against the United States was a Supreme Court case. Sheriff Mack was able to pretty much remind to all of us through the federal system, federal court system, that the sheriff, the county sheriff, has powers, and there is no way the federal government can infringe in its jurisdiction unless pretty much few exceptions, and unless the sheriff let them come in. That's pretty much the story. They don't want to tell us that. So tell us exactly this MOLON LABE. When did you start the idea? How long took you to put it together? What are the different type of guests that you have? And what is the main theme? What is the main message?
Well, we started production and released MOLON LABE in the fall of 2013. The film features Ron Paul, Pat Buchanan, Alex Jones, and G. Edward Griffin. We also interviewed Chuck Baldwin, David Gilley, who's active military, Larry Pratt, who's the head of Gun Owners of America, Walter Reddy, who's a co-founder of the Tea Party, Stuart Rhodes, who is the head of Oath Keepers, and Jack Rooney and Edwin Vieira. Mm-hmm. And we put the movie together. It takes about 16 months to do each one of these movies. The movie's at molon.us if anybody wants to take a look at the DVD, molon.us. And we just felt that a primer on the Second Amendment and the militia system needed to be put out there. So that's why we made the movie.
So it's like, let's put it this way, because it's important, people want to get active now. I really believe right now we are the last few minutes before midnight, and this is not trying to, freak people out, but it's a fact. I mean, we live right now, as you know, in an America there is no more due process. Pretty much the Constitution is being destroyed. I mean, Patriot Act already pretty much put us in a state like we are under the king. And now with the National Defense Authorization Act, every one of us right now, me and you, just talking about things like this, we can be suspected to be terrorists. And under the new National Defense Authorization Act, we have no more due process, more protection, and we can be pretty much kidnapped in the middle of the night, of the day, doesn't matter, and detained indefinitely, tortured and killed. I mean, this is not something that I'm making it up. People can find it out. We've already been talking about. So this is so serious. Now, everybody in government at pretty much higher level of the bureaucratic system, or by accident, or just because they want to, they can start to snuff people out like they did in Chile during Pinochet, or in Spain under Franco, or in Italy under Mussolini, or many other parts of the world. So this is very serious. That's why I believe it's very important, this project, because we need to start to understand that if you believe in God, start to pray to God. But if you don't believe in God, you need to start to believe in your friends, your neighbors, and yourself. Because I think we believe both. We need both. We need superior power from above, and now more important, in this dimension, in this planet, we need to help each other. And I believe when it comes down that they start to round us up, and I really believe this is happening. Look what's happening at the bandits. They wanted to take their property, and they were trying to do it. And the only reason why they were able to do it, because enough people stood together. And I was there witnessing, and I was able to understand, finally, for the first time, the concept of the Second Amendment. It is not just something to put on the wall. It is there, and you're going to need it. And when you need it, you know that you really needed it. So pretty much, what is your point at this point? What do you think, according to your experience after producing this documentary, what do you think the American people will be ready to do, in your opinion? I mean, what do you think, what is the trend? What do we have going on?
Well, one of the things I think people have to realize is this. Number one, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. That means that any law that is made that is not in perfect alignment with the Constitution is null and void. Now, basically, several laws came down from the Supreme Court. One of them was called Marbury v. Madison, and the finding there was, quote, "It cannot be presumed that any clause in the Constitution is intended to be without effect." So that means every word of the Constitution has effect. The second thing is that quote, "An unconstitutional act is not a law. It imposes no duties. It is in legal contemplation as inoperative as though it had never been passed. Norton v. Shelby County." Now, what this means is that all of these so-called gun control laws are illegal. They are null and void. They have no effect, because under the Constitution, every word must be followed. That means when the Constitution's Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia is necessary, that means exactly what it says. You cannot pretend those words do not exist. You cannot also create some, quote, law, unquote, to make people have to hide their weapons or conceal or not have them. That is all a bunch of horse. Any of these laws that New York or any of the gun control lobby puts out are not laws at all. There's been many times that the Supreme Court has challenged this, and basically in expounding the Constitution, an unconstitutional law is void, and it is no law. An offense created by it is not a crime. Ex parte Siebold. That's the Supreme Court finding. So, first of all, these laws, quote unquote, such as the NDAA and the Department of Homeland Security, they are not laws at all when they sit there and violate the Constitution in any way, shape, or form. Heinrich Himmler set up his Department of National Security in Nazi Germany to unify all the police forces over there. Well, the Nazis and the rogues that have taken over Washington, D.C. have done exactly the same thing with the Department of Homeland Security under the authority of the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act must be rescinded. The Patriot Act is in violation of the in violation of the highest law of the land, the U.S. Constitution. All this nationalization and crap with the police forces is illegal. And these people are going to have some serious answering to do. The rogues that have taken over Washington, D.C. are in deep, serious trouble.
I understand.
And they're trying to set up, nationalize the police. There are only supposed to be two military bodies in this country: the Army and the Navy, which are established by the Constitution, and the militia of the several states. The militia of the several states are there to enforce the laws of the land, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 2. The Army and the Navy are to take care of external matters. The Department of Homeland Security, all these agencies are illegal. They're not authorized by the Constitution anywhere.
I understand,
so
James.
Citizens need to wake up on this stuff and rescind the Patriot Act and get rid of the NDAA and get rid of the rogues that have taken over Congress. That means you don't vote for your congressman. You throw him out.
I understand,
because
James.
he's not doing something.
There is only one point, and I'm not trying to. I agree with you. There is only one point. Right now, we can say that something is unconstitutional, and we don't need to be lawyers. We don't need to be geniuses. We can see it. We can read it. That's why the Constitution was written in a way that every normal person could understand it. The problem, that, in my opinion, that we already been taken over. Because look at this. I mean, even Mao Zedong said political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. And now they have the biggest guns. I mean, look Obama, what he's doing. Obama is pretty much became a king. Like now he can bypass Congress like Caligula during the Roman Empire. The Senate was just a joke. And we all very well that this is pretty much now the Constitution is being destroyed. Now, who is going to defend this Constitution? The Constitution and the Bill of Rights, they're there, but it's up to us, the American people, to start to say, okay, now we have to start to act. And as much as it seems like sound extreme, but I really believe that we passed a long time ago the line in the sand, because Senate and Congress, I can see, and we can all see that it's been all paid off, or at least many of them, the majority of them. You can vote them out as many times you want, but the point is, I see every time new members get in. I mean, look at now. The last election, we had pretty much a big political saying what the American people want, and the Congress was able to re-elect again Mr. Bonner. That pretty much we understand that this is just the same thing as Obama. They're working together. They're doing the same things. Now, why it is so important, this militia concept? Because at the end of the day, I'm not saying go in there and start to attack anybody, but they will come for you. They will come for your property. They will come to try to suppress your rights.
Okay, so what I hear you saying, Luca, yes, you're right. You're right. Just because we have the law on our side does not mean the rogues are not going to come for us if we don't obey their illegal laws. I get that.
They already done it.
I'm not advocating any kind of armed insurrection or armed revolts because you might lose, okay? Even though there's 200 million Americans armed. By the way, I seriously doubt that the federal government, even with nuclear weapons, would be able to handle 200 million people. But the bottom line is, number one, Americans have to be informed that these people in D.C. are acting illegally. Number one. That's number one. They're illegal. They're not on the high moral ground. Okay, number two, I do believe that getting rid of congressmen will work. Now, the problem is this. Everybody votes for their congressman. That's why Boehner gets in there and everything. Everybody in the United States votes for their congressman because they think he's a good guy, but they don't like everyone else's congressman. Mm-hmm. So we get the same group of rogues in the Congress year after year, and they're all put in there by the corporate plutocracy's money.
Yes, you're right. And
so what people have to do is stop voting for their congressman.
Yes, I agree. They
have to acknowledge that they and their congressmen are a part of the problem, and they have to stop voting for him and put new blood into the Congress until it stops taking this corporate payola and stops passing illegal laws like the Patriot Act and the NDAA.
Exactly. And you know very well that, the Patriot Act, NDAA, pretty much 90% of Congress and Senate is behind this. It's not just Obama, okay?
Well, yeah, of course, because they're all paid employees of the military-industrial complex.
Exactly. Now, and don't get me wrong, I believe that we must be active in the political system. We must do everything we can. And also I believe that violence is always the last resort. And as Captain Parker said, pretty much if they want to fight, let them start, and we will stand the line. I mean, I'm just paraphrasing it. I'm not advocating, first of all, ever to go first, because it would be, first of all, they would give them the moral ground to make us look bad. But at the same time, I think it's important to start to reach out our fellow soldiers, veterans, and military active duty, and especially peace officers. They like to call themselves law enforcement now, but I call them peace officers, hopefully still are, and try to understand that they have families and we all here together as Americans. If we can reach out the other part of these people that they're trying to use against us, we may stop it before even we started it. Now, at the same time, I like the idea of state level and unorganized level, not just organized under the state, but as neighbors, as friends, as family. The concept of the militia, probably for me, in my opinion, is the most powerful concept that America still have. Because when you have guns, but when you have knowledge and you know your rights, and you know that you're minding your business, taking care of your families, taking care of your community, and when the time comes, if there is an emergency and if there is a threat to your freedom and to your property, you must be prepared before. This is the time we must prepare.
Well, that's why the concept of being organized is so important. It stays well organized, well regulated and organized. Because if people know their rights, they know the law. The people that have taken over Washington, D.C. are a very, very small, tiny group of people.
Yes.
There's only maybe 1,000 of them. What are they going to do against 230 armed and well-informed Americans?
Even if we were 20, let's say we got, during the Revolutionary War, only 3-4% really was actively on the line. And then, of course, there was another 15-20% that supported it. Even if you have 10 millions of Americans that say, you know what, we are ready to die, but we will not become your slaves. We will not surrender our rights and our properties. That's something, by the way, that is being planned. And I'm not trying to be creating conspiracy. This is something very important. I'm sure you're familiar with the YouTube, with this Bill Air weather underground situation that happened in the late 70s. There was this underground cover from FBI that pretty much was there during the investigation exposing the weather underground and Bill Air plot to take America from within. And the plan was very simple. Once they have their people in their political structures, positions, like now in government, and pretty much they need to start to understand that this is a part of America that they cannot brainwash. And this is something that they have planned for us. Do you remember that little speech? It was on CBS. Are you familiar with that? From Larry.
I'm familiar with Bill Ayers, and he was recently on the Kelly File on Fox News about
Larry, let me play for you this one. This is important. 1 second. Larry Grenhall, okay, on Ayers. Plan for American re-education camps, and they need to kill millions. I play already this few times, but it's very important. This was on CBS. It was a documentary in the 80s. And the role of this Larry Grenhall was pretty much to infiltrate Bill Ayers and expose what's going on. And this is from his voice. Listen.
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. We become responsible then for administrating, 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States. They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I asked, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill 25 million people. I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious.
Here we go. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, just for everybody who's listening right now, if you're driving, this wasn't just some sort of made-up audio from some conspiracy theory. This is a real documentary played in 1982, No Place to Hide, on CBS News, okay? And this was Larry Gredhall, that used to work for the FBI as an infiltrator, but also used to be part of Bill Ayers. So this is pretty much what they were planning. And we all very know, by the way, we well know that the Obama's connection with Bill Ayers, with all the different type of revolutionaries dressed as, white collars. They're right now, they're already sitting in the White House. And we also very know history. I mean, in Russia, 1917, how many people died? By millions. Everybody that was a threat to the state, the new tyrannical state, pretty much they were killed. So what do you think about this video, James?
Well, Luca, I really don't spend much time putting attention on people like Bill Ayers or any of the conspiracy theories. Look, our solution to our problem is not that complicated, okay? It's not as bad as the Civil War and the Revolutionary War. All we have to do is educate Americans into the constitutional principles and then apply the Constitution. It's something that we could do very simply. And can I give your listeners a URL?
Of course, please give the website first of all where people can buy the video.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, all of our videos, first of all, are up on the net for free.
Wow.
And we did 6 of them, most of them with Ron Paul. And all of your listeners can watch the videos for free as a public service. If they want to buy them, they can also buy them. Now, I'll give you 2 URLs where you can listen to all 5 of them. You have a whole night of listening or watching. They're all up on YouTube at youtube.com/originalintent.doc. And it's just like it sounds, Original Intent Doc, and that's doc meaning doc for short for documentary. So youtube.com/originalintent.doc. All the movies are there. They can watch them all for free, including our new movie that we're in production on now. They can watch the trailer. If any of your listeners want to purchase a DVD, they can go to moviepubs.net. That's moviepubs.net, and they can get all the DVDs there in single packs, in packages, in quantities, whatever they want. Anyway, people watch the DVDs. They most of them like them if they're citizens, and then they usually buy 1 or 2, and that helps us make the films. So it's all up there for you. The new movie we're working on, Midnight Ride, is the sister film to MOLON LABE.
What is it about?
And whereas MOLON LABE basically introduced people to the Second Amendment and the militia clauses, this new one is going to be about martial law.
Wow.
The full title of the movie is Midnight Ride, when rogue politicians call for martial law. So this movie will basically go into what is martial law, is it legal, how does the Constitution view it, what is the history of martial law. So if you want to get educated on the concept of martial law in case they try to do something like that, this is the movie you may enjoy watching. And if I may give one more URL,
yes,
Luca.
Please go ahead.
If they want to see the trailer and help out with the production, they go to midnightride.us. That's MID, just like it sounds. Midnight Ride, like Midnight Ride of Paul Revere.
Yes.
.us, not .com, but .us.
Very good. And this is very important because that's why I wanted to call you. And I'm always excited when I see people like yourself because this is the way to be proactive, not reactive. We have here still some freedom of speech in this country, believe it or not, and we are using it. And these tools, like a DVD, you can get a DVD. First of all, I always invite at least buy one. Support the producers because we are living here. We don't get extortion money like PBS or some other like NPR, okay, from your tax dollar. We work for living. It's a free market, so everything costs and time and productions and studios. So support these videos, support this producer, get at least one copy, at least the original copy. Then you start to gather families. I always say start with your own family. We need to be families on the same side. Because I remember stories from my grandfather when families, they were split, they were divided. Who was siding with a tyrant, with Mussolini, and who was silent for freedom, siding for freedom. And this is wrong. We must be united, especially in the family. So watch these videos together, get your neighbors, and when they start to understand what's going on, and many of us now, we understand it's easier because it's so strong, the smell of this tyranny in our face. We need to start to organize in every way you can, even just organizing to go into your representative, to your congressman, to your state, to your state, or even better, to your county supervisor meetings, because that's exactly where tyranny starts to creep in. For example, now we had in our county, we had found out just 2 months ago that there are armored vehicles given by the federal program 1033 to our sheriff department. But guess what? We started to get involved through the radio show and through different letters to the editors. We finally find out, we asked questions. They didn't want to give us answers. The public pressure was strong enough, and they sent back the armored vehicle because people understand that what it's about. So these videos, they are fundamental, and I want to applaud you, Mr. James Jaeger, to produce this. And question, you've been doing many other things before producing, I call it activist or political documentary. You've been in Studio City in California. What you've been doing before you started to do all this type of documentaries?
Well, I lived in Hollywood, and I worked in the movie industry there. I worked at Paramount Ranch and CBS and Columbia Pictures and a lot of independent companies, mostly making narrative, dramatic feature films, that kind of stuff. And then I kind of thought, well, maybe I should try to use some of my energy to make some films that are going to help out and give back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I started making these documentaries. My first one was FIAT EMPIRE, which I made with Ron Paul back in 2006.
Wow. And, you still live in Hollywood, or you out now from there? Because it's kind of this type of documentaries, normally, you can do everything you want wherever you want, but it's not exactly what Hollywood like to work on, There's different type of mindset. Where you are right now? Are you still in Hollywood?
Well, I live at 3 places. I live out in Santa Monica and New York part of the time, and in Valley Forge part of the time.
Okay, interesting. And any other thing, during this production, some episode or some sort of, some type of situation that happened during the production of MOLON LABE that somehow was worth to share with us, something, some event, some special thing that you learned, maybe anything you can tell us.
Well, the term MOLON LABE, nobody knew how to pronounce it, and all of my associates were telling me, for God's sakes, James, don't make a movie called MOLON LABE.
Yeah.
So none of us knew how to pronounce it. Even Edwin Vieira, who the movie is inspired by his book, Sword and Sovereignty, which I highly recommend your listeners read.
Yes.
Nobody knew. So Edwin went and he got his language expert at Harvard, and he basically told us how it was pronounced. And it's pronounced MOLON LABE.
This is a Greek word, so there is a very specific accentuation. I wasn't very good in ancient Greek. Latin was much better for me, but you're right. This is not exactly, and not everybody knows how to say that. Now, speaking about MOLON LABE or MOLON LABE, or the people how they want to say it, the point is, there is a point that every one of us, you do movies, that's what you do. You try to share through your experience, through your media, the message. even if you are listening to the show and you say, you know what can I do? You don't need to produce a movie. You already have it done. Start to gather the army of knowledge. Get a copy, buy as many as you can afford. I always say try to support the producer and the movie. But then start to organize, for example, public events where you share this type of information. Anything that you can tell us about? Is there any special place that, for example, I remember during another documentary like this was by Aaron Russo, American From Freedom to Fascism. They used to be in some public theaters, some private theaters. There were some sort of events where people used to promote. Anything you're trying to launch for promotion, like in theaters or things like that?
Well, all the movies play in limited run in the theaters when they're done. Mm-hmm. Midnight Ride will probably be done in about 5 or 6 months. Okay. We're working with Oath Keepers. If any of your listeners are current or ex-veterans, active military, police, or firemen,
yes,
they should go check out oathkeepers.org. and join up as an Oath Keeper. Oath Keepers is a fraternal military organization that is dedicated to educating the public about the Constitution and the responsibility of an enlisted man or woman in keeping their oath of office. And the new film, Midnight Ride, will go into the 10 orders that any Oath Keeper will not obey. And if you go to the website, oathkeepers.org, I think you'll be quite amazed to see what they have put together as a program. And they have been out there on the front lines at Bundy and various other places, bringing to the public the concept of the militia.
Yes,
how it is effective.
I had Stuart Rhodes probably about a couple of months ago for the first hour, and we'll be talking about this. And exactly, this is very important. That's another piece of the puzzle, The Oath Keepers is another answer to tyranny. Starts to remind to everyone who took an oath to defend and uphold this Constitution that this oath has no expiration date. And, this is very important. And I'm glad that you united forces with him, because it's going to take every one of us. This is not something just one person can fix. And there is no Captain America on the horizon. If you want to find the hero that's going to save the day, always say at night, before you go to sleep, after you brush your teeth, look at the mirror. You are the answer. Pretty much, it's up to us now, seriously. And I really mean it. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I really realize that for sure in Washington, we have no more heroes. And even if there is some lonely voice, it's too much of a loner. Now we need to look, every one of us, all is going to start from our local grassroots groups, not from top down, but from bottom up. And that's why we need to start to go back together, knowing each other, sharing information, and God help us. Hopefully we're going to have the opportunity to retake, and we will try everything we can to retake this republic back. Since you've been talking about come and take it, I don't know if I told you, but, what I've been doing the last 16 years since I came to America, I write songs. I'm a songwriter and I'm also a music publisher. And I have a song that I wrote in my latest CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. And the song is called Come and Take It. And I want to dedicate it to you, to all the staff been working on your latest documentary, MOLON LABE, and, of course, to all the listeners who pretty much will make up their mind now that we are here and we are for peace, but we will not surrender our rights, we will not surrender our guns, and we will not become ever slaves of anybody. So, my dear friend, I want to leave you the floor for the last message. James Jaeger, you got the floor.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show, Luca. It was a lot of fun. Our new movie will hopefully extend the knowledge base for the Constitution, and it does feature Ron Paul, and we have Ed Griffin. We interviewed him last week. We interviewed Larry Pratt. We're going to interview Stuart Rhodes and Elias Alias and Pastor Chuck Baldwin and Dan Happel, Commissioner Dan Happel, on the 30th up in Montana. And so the movie's got a great lineup of people. We're also hoping to get Ted Nugent into the movie. And if you want to see a trailer, just go to midnightride.us/trailer and help us make the movie if you can. we'll do the best we can to get the information out there. And remember, don't vote for your congressman. Vote for someone else.
Very good. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. This is the first hour with Luca Zanna, and this was James Jaeger. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Now we got Come and Take It.
Come and take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. You're gonna like it. You're gonna feel like it's paradise. Come and take it. You're gonna get it. You're gonna taste it. One between your eyes. Come take it. Come take it. Come take it. Come take it. No more false illusions. Enough of your phony hope. You've stolen our son's future. Your empty words are like dope. If you want our guns, you want our souls. If you want our lives, here we stand in line. Come and take it. You're gonna like it. You're gonna feel like it's paradise. Come and take it. You're gonna get it. You're gonna taste it. One between your eyes. Come and take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. No more tears, no more fear. Let's have our lives fair. Not time to fight. And freedom may never die. Come and take it. You're gonna like it. You're gonna feel like it's paradise. Come and take it. You're gonna get it. You're gonna taste it. One between your eyes. Come and take it. 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 Come and take it.
This song is dedicated to any bastard that will try to disarm the American people. Just try it.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid.
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna
I'm not afraid.
and his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're back on the air. This is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM. I've been mentioning many times, or a few times at least, the last few months, the importance of the militia. The purpose of the show, it is first of all to create awareness of the problems that we are facing as Americans and also as free humanity against global tyranny. And that's right then after we understand and we really see and we can touch and more important, we can admit that there is a problem. I always say we must find solutions. I'm always for the peaceful solution. I'm always for the political solution. I think that first of all, you should get involved now, right now in your life, in your political life. Do not be an armed general. Try to, avoid and getting lazy to get involved right now in this process. We want to avoid things going to get to a point that there is no other options. I really believe that we still have options with the education to also get our involvement in our political life, in our social life, in our families, in our communities where we live. First of all, sharing the facts, and then get involved in voting, and more important, especially at the local level. Forget about the federal level. Start to think about county level. Start to think about city level. You can have a lot of impact there. You can start pretty much also running for office. You don't need to have big money behind. So we have to do what we have to do as citizens, first of all. But also we must have a B plan. And the B plan that we are no victims. We as Americans, we have an oath to pretty much fulfill and uphold, even if you are not a soldier, even if you never took this oath, because, soldiers and you can see also, peace officers, even people like myself, that I was a naturalized American, I took an oath to defend this Constitution and this Republic against enemies, foreign and domestic. But let's say you were born here and you never took this oath. Doesn't matter. You're still part of the resistance. All you have to do is pretty much believe in freedom, number one, and understand that we are a republic, and we, the people, are the last line of defense of this republic. And unfortunately, guys, I wish we all could talk about other things, like, and we will talk also about the things like more light things, like, our life is beautiful, and pastime wine, and kumbaya, all these things. But the reality we are living, it is here in front of our face. And not because America never had to face tyranny after King George, the way many other countries had to face, like, for example, Spain, or Chile with Pinochet, or China, or Russia, or Germany, or Italy with Mussolini. We are now facing the same type of dangers that many other countries before us had to face. And I'm telling you, when things are already pretty much in motion, when things are going to happen, you wish you had the time to go back in time and to do the things you wanted to do, and among those, to prepare yourself and your family. Because living under tyranny, it is not a hobby, it is not a video game, you do not have a reset button, and things are going to start to really get to a new level of dangers that we have no idea. People are dying around us. People before us died just because they wanted to try to give us this information. I would like to share with you something very important. His name is William Cooper. That something, I want you to Google it up. I mean, I would like to do a show, probably rebroadcast just all this information about him. Many other people before even William Cooper, I mean, there would be people dying in mysterious circumstances just because they were trying to warn us about this new world order. This is not a game. This is not a conspiracy theory. These are facts. And if you want to deny the facts and the evidence, that's okay. That's your right. But, there is a said, you can deny reality, but you cannot deny or avoid, even better, you cannot avoid the consequences of this reality. I suggest you a book to read by William Cooper. It's called Behold a Pale Horse. You can also find information about this American hero on YouTube. Anyway, speaking about heroes, second hour, I have something that is very important, and I really wanted to do it because it's something that I believe time is short. And at this point, I wanted to say, I already had him on the show. His name is Mark Koernke. Mark is a leader, in my opinion, and also about the facts of this new American resistance against the global tyranny. And it's been around way before even I came to this country. We're talking about Mark since the early 80s. He was trying to tell us and share this information before even the internet was here. And I already had him a few weeks ago on this show, Love, Guns, and Freedom. Mark Koernke from Michigan, telling us about himself, about his background, his military background, about also, of course, his patriot background, and also his tough time background. He spent 8 years in jail, this man, okay? Let's not forget. And if you want to go listen to one of my the past show, you can find in the archives with Mark Koernke. You can go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com, and you can find the show about probably a month ago. But now, what is important today's show, in the second hour, it is a show about how to organize a militia and why. Let me say again, this is a very serious words, how to organize a militia and why. And this information I'm telling you right now, in many parts of the world, is already considered like a crime. In America, we have a First Amendment, but at this point, it doesn't matter anymore anything unless we want to really defend this First Amendment, because according to the National Defense Authorization Act and also the Patriot Act, the information I'm sharing with you right now could be already pretty much considered some sort of a terroristic or domestic terroristic thing, just because we're talking about the foundation of this country. When I say the word militia, it is not a bad word. Militia means is the staple, is the foundation, who created this country, who fought for this country. And unfortunately, tyranny never goes away. It didn't end up with King George. We still have tyrants. Doesn't matter. It's going to be coming under a foreign invasion, or we already have enemy from within. We must be able and ready to defend our republic and our rights. That's why I'm going to have right now, stay tuned, don't go away, Mark Koernke from Michigan is going to be with us in an historical hour that I also would like to disseminate everywhere through the internet or everywhere you can as a message in the bottle for posterity. How to start a militia and why, with Luca Zanna and Mark Koernke. And don't go away, and please, I really ask you to support the show in every way you can, even just going to my website, www.lovegunsfreedom.com, and you can find my music there. Download any of my songs for 99 cents. This helps the cause. And don't forget, this information, it is something more than just a radio show. This could be pretty much one of the voices of the past of this republic. And all this, download it, because you never know what's going to happen in the next few years. Download this broadcasting and spread it around. Don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Gianluca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Today is a very special broadcasting. This is the second hour of Sunday, 1st of February 2015. This segment of this radio show, it is going to be a message in a bottle for posterity and for every American willing and ready to stand for our republic against enemies, foreign and domestic. But not just for the American people, also for every human being around the world who is willing to stand for freedom and for our inalienable rights against the New World Order, also called global government. I will upload this segment of this radio show also on YouTube, and I ask you, listener, your help to share it, download it, and re-upload it every way you can. I realize that more than every day, that we're all in danger here. Many of us already died in the past, even in the present, in mysterious circumstances. Why they were trying just to do, they were trying to warn us about the danger of this global tyranny that is already upon us. I'm aware that in the future, this information that I'm going to share with you right now, today, may become illegal. And in some countries, it is already a thought crime. It could put you in jail, so watch it. I mean, you have to decide yourself, even to listen to this information. And now also in this United States of America, under this National Defense Authorization Act, the Patriot Act, we all may be labeled terrorists and we may be kidnapped by the government, indefinitely detained, with no access to judge, jury, or due process, and even killed and tortured. This is not a drill. This is not a game. This is our struggle for our republic and for our God-given rights. My name is Luca Zanna, and I have the honor to have with me one of the leaders of the new American Revolution, of this new American resistance against the global government. From Dexter, Michigan, Mark Koernke. Mark, are you there?
Yes, I am, sir. Good evening. How are things going?
Pretty good, my friend. Listen, I want to go straight to business. We already talked about you, and if people for any reason don't know about you, they can Google your name or whatever they want to find out. Today, the focus is going to be this. Today is going to be the show for February the 1st, 2015, and my goal is to create a message in the bottle, and 101, Militia 101, how to and why to start a local militia. And this is pretty much going to be, we want to get your information, your brain, your experience to share with the rest of humanity. And the reason why I wanted to do this so urgently, I realized things that are happening. People have started to die like fly out there, mysterious circumstances. And I don't know, things may change anytime. So I wanted to put this out on record. And hopefully we can, use this experience to inspire other people. First of all, Mark, what is the American militia? Let's spell it out to the listeners.
Well, under the guise of, a shield and sword against tyranny, the militia itself is the whole of the people, each individual choosing that because they have a valuable commodity, their life's time, their life's existence, a precious commodity that cannot be replaced, can never be reloaded, that because we do value it, we are willing to fight if need be to defend it. And as an individual, we can do well, but because we have a mutual interest, the militia is a situation where many people of like mind, with the same concern for protecting their liberty, they come together and are willing to physically defend it, and to do it in such a way that there is a winning proposition. See, many hands make for light work. Well, guys, safety and security and your liberty is, secured more efficiently if you have many hands helping to make it happen. And you need to have a mutual interest, and I would say liberty is pretty critical there. So do a lot of Americans for the same reason. And the militia is the whole of the people, all of us, we the people, working to defend our liberty, preserving our freedoms in the process.
Perfect. And this is exactly the point. Because I ask you this because probably many other parts of the world, they don't have this concept of militia. It is in our American history, our American heritage. And but the point is, at this point, doesn't matter. As a right, as a human beings, to defend our life and our liberty. And I think every one of you listeners, wherever you are in the world, not just the American people, have the God-given right to defend yourself and your property against this global tyranny. Now, many people may say, we don't live anymore in the times of the revolution. We don't need anymore the militia. After all, we have the police, we have the government taking care of us. And of course, this is a rhetorical question. But my question is, why the militia is so important in this modern America?
Well, it's a critical check and balance component of any age. Everybody has always screamed, these are modern times. And those modern times pass very quickly. Well, it's just simply time and the nature of people. The Founding Fathers, when they looked at the problem, understood, first of all, the threats that they were just on the cusp of, the very edge of. In 1765, 10 years before the outbreak of open and benchmarked hostilities in the colonies, soon to be the United States, a series of actions were taken that could only lead to a specific end result, period. Not maybe, not kind of, not sort of. Now, a large police force, they had it. A myriad of officers to eat out your substance and to tax you from all directions, they had it. But not in its final form, you see, because the mother country, or the old countries of Europe, already had what they were trying to set upon the colonists. And they would not and could not bear such a yoke. Because understanding the reason for leaving the places where most every one of the individuals came from as a family line, or perhaps recently as an individual, they left where they were because of the level of bureaucracy, the taxation, the oppression, the man with a gun ready to put a boot on your neck at a moment's notice. That's why this country was so enticing. This piece of real estate, this land was so enticing. And the process of, eventually winning our liberty, fighting for 8 years, at the end of that process, there are a lot of questions that were asked, but one of them is, how do we ensure for as long as possible, or at least as long as we're thinking men, that we don't fall back into that trap? And the understanding was that the checks and balances, which first start with the people, included the process of a well-armed population working in conjunction with its, one man with another to defend their liberty. And the militia's purpose, even today, and it will be tomorrow, and 100 years from now, or even 1,000 years from now, will be no different. Because, unfortunately, where you have positions of power, evil people gravitate to them.
Yes, exactly. And there's another thing I would like to add to this. This is exactly the point. Now more than ever, unless you're a complete zombie, you understand what's going on. This is a new level of tyranny we're living on. We don't know anymore our property. We don't know anymore our body. The government pretty much is the new God, at least that's what they think they are. And it's coming down to a point that, my opinion, we need to use the time we have given right now. We don't know how long. Could be months, could be maybe another year, or maybe it could be more days. I do not know. But things, they're accelerating. As I said, today is February the 1st, 2015, and you know very well that right now, one thing all we should think, regardless of your party affiliation, I don't care which party you are, we are living in a new America pre-Magna Carta, where any one of us, thanks to the National Defense Authorization Act, can be put in jail indefinitely, not even in jail, in the dungeon indefinitely, with no due process, no access to jury, judge, or trial. That will be enough to make understand that we need a militia to save our own freedom right now. Now, let's go straight to the point, Mark. Time is limited, and I want to at least you give us the foundation how we can start to think, because we cannot touch every topic, but maybe the mindset we can start to approach. How do we start a militia?
Go right ahead. The first thing that I think I would challenge anybody to is to ask the question, who owns you?
Yes.
Are you a free man, or are you a bondsman? Are you property? Are you chattel? Well, in this country, possession still is 9/10 of the law. And as in any era of this nation, the first question is, who owns you? Who owns your life's time? Let's go to another critical small component here that has to be understood. The first thing I would ask for everybody listening is to help us out here. In fact, Luca here needs assistance. I want you to reach into your pocket right now, and I want you to pull out 5 seconds of your life and transfer it to him right now. Can anybody out there do that? You're all thinking, well, wait a minute, you thought I was going to say reach in and give me some quarters or $1. That's part of a translation of something. Time is priceless. Luca, can we get that back? If somebody takes unjustly 5 minutes of my time even, can I get that back?
No.
So that literally is the ultimate priceless piece of private property, isn't it?
Yes.
So how we use our time, people, how we choose, not a king, not a potentate, not a pharaoh, not a commissar, not an emperor, whatever the title, and the titles will change, but they're all the same. A centrist mechanism that believes your time is their time, that your property is their property. Now, when we say property, you're made to believe, at least on the peasant level, that property means things. But all of the things that we own are an extension of our life's commitment to a process of just trade. In other words, I go to work somewhere, or I work for myself, and I exchange so much of my life's time, a priceless commodity, which I cannot exchange. I can't get back. Whatever I trade out, I don't get that back.
Mm-hmm.
I have a physical representation. It can be cats, dogs, it can be clams, it can be silver coin, whatever the currency of the day is that is acceptable in trade for a peaceable process. That's what we accept in exchange so that we don't have to harm other people in the process of developing society and civilization to accomplish something, to get something done, to acquire something that we want. Each person with a skill, each person with a trade, each person with a choice in life that puts them in a niche that makes them productive, that allows them to translate their life's time into the physical world. But here's the thing. Greedy, rotten, monstrous people already know what I'm talking about, but they've tried to brush us away from this thought process because the true nature of tyranny is the sociopathic manipulation of life's time to the point of insane fanaticism.
Mm.
And this, in turn, translates out that if they can't have your life, they will take your life. And we have seen how many examples of this as an example of a sociopath. See, your life's time, first of all, you have to argue, well, where does it come from? Now, there's people out there that are atheists who are going to say there is no God. But the premise for all of these social structures that argue that your life's time is yours spring from the idea that all of society, all men must answer to a higher calling, a higher being, to God. God is, of course, is the wellspring of life. Now, because of this, that wellspring of life is linear. I can't loop back. You know what? Let's change this. We just did 20 minutes worth of something. Let's just erase it all and go back, and we'll get that 20 minutes back. We can't do that, guys. Whatever we've chosen to do in our life's time, that decision is final. So first of all, we should be intelligent, responsible, and thoughtful in our processes from the get-go. We must be men of courage, men of conviction. We must be a people set upon a high standard, a moral standard. If we are going to maintain a peaceable society, that must be our credo. And to do that, we have a moral text or a moral guideline that we use. This is the foundation. Just trade, just commerce, justice with regard to the possibility of offenses that may create unjust takings. Example up to and including perhaps murdering somebody. Don't confuse murdering somebody with having to defend yourself in a situation where your life may have been threatened or your property threatened. See, the issue is whether or not you put value on your life's time, which you should. But what's fascinating is the schizophrenia, which makes you believe that your property is something you shouldn't defend. Yet your property is nothing more than an extension of your life's time. Here's the fascinating part. As a peasant, you're told it's only property. I would challenge you today to go down the street to that $2 million mansion with the fences and the guards and jump over the property and tell them, hey, I've just come to pick up a couple of chairs. After all, it's only property. Watch to see if the only property crew, the ones that are telling you, those royalty types, that it's only property when it's theirs, watch and see what happens when you try that.
Yes.
So this is a social schizophrenia. We all are sovereigns. We are all wealthy people. We all have an equal opportunity to decide how we spend our time. But we are all still, somebody always says, well, they put their pants on the same way you and I do, Luca. Well, the fact of the matter is that is true, in that from the get-go, we're all given the same opportunity on this planet. What we choose to do with our time, though, is a personal decision that we must be allowed to make, number one, and that we have a right to make. It's a God-given gift, how we deal with the fruits of our labor. And that's why the militia issue is so important, because there is a balance to the process. There is a nature of predator and prey. There's the natural law that the Founding Fathers talked about, combined with the spiritual / the God, the gift from God and the guidelines that are needed because we are human beings, not animals.
Yes, and just to let you know, listeners, if you're just tuning in or if you're just listening to this conversation and this broadcasting, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and our special guest is Mark Koernke from Michigan, Dexter, Michigan. And right now we're talking about the militia, why and how to start a militia. And before we go into the technical part, I think, Mark, what you're saying is very important. Start to understand the philosophical foundation, why we should even bother to organize and even to prepare it and even to engage ourselves and commit ourselves in defending and risking our life for something that's so valuable. It's our life, but also it's our property and our freedom. Now, Mark, to get more specific, for example, let's say I'm a regular guy. I'm just listening. I'm just woke up right now. I was a zombie just still a few years ago, but now, thanks to Obama, I understand that pretty much what's happening here, this is not more Kansas anymore. We're living in a new America with a K. Of course, that was also before with Bush. But let's say I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm just a regular guy working 9 to 5, maybe in a factory. I just woke up a little late, and I say, oh, my God, I need to start a group to try to prepare for what's coming. Tell me, what should I do?
Well, again, we covered the basics with the personal issues. You have to make a decision about whether or not you value your liberty.
Yes.
Whatever actions you take from this point forward, that foundation, you never lose sight of it. You must never separate yourself from it. We're on the moral high ground. As an individual even, just as an individual preparing, you need to immerse yourself in understanding the military sciences. There are the sciences of agriculture. There are the sciences of industry. There are the sciences of interaction with people. And there are the military sciences. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The Founding Fathers immersed themselves beforehand. The regular man on the street, everyone immersed themselves to be balanced as free men. So one of the first things you do is you need to get to reading. Oh, Mark, you're giving me homework. I hate that. Well, maybe not so much. You're not looking for the movie experience. You're looking for the bread and the butter. You're looking for the bone. You're looking for the foundation of developing a process. First, you need to decide, again, to what degree you can participate. Now, there's people who say they're physically handicapped. That doesn't mean you can't participate. And, in fact, just the reverse. There are tasks and jobs. There's work that you can do. If you're young or if you're old, if you're infirm, the work that you do can free up men who are fully capable, who can then join in the fight. So no matter what you are, what place you have in society right now, you can do something. Mm-hmm. The first point, though, is to develop your individual skills. And to do that, you need to read and you need to study. As infantrymen, as the infantryman, as an individual fighter. Now, I'm not talking about going off into the, developing yourself. I'm going to be a special forces, whatever. That's a goal down the road. First, we must immerse ourselves in the basics. This includes at this point, not organization, except for personal organization, which has to do with equipping, outfitting in general, and arming yourself. And once you've made a series of decisions, we could get in more detail on that, but those personal decisions then put you on a path to focus on developing the skills with the tools that you've acquired. There are many different classes out there and different people with different theories. I won't argue the different ideas as far as the basics go because different people were trained and educated. Many people have military backgrounds. They were trained in different eras, so their concept of how things are done, which was purely a flavor of the day training, will work. Every one of them worked. During the time when each man may have served in the military and somebody's giving you an idea, that process worked. Whether or not it was changed mostly for political or a du jour flavor of the day attitudes. It may have changed because of a perfection of a certain weapon system. But the basics are still there. And developing yourself as a personal rifle marksman, as an infantryman, as a militiaman is the key to success on the broader scale. And every person listening, if there's 5 of you, 10 of you, 100 of you together, that should be your first concern. Master the basics. Rifle marksmanship, 100 hits. 100 hits with 100 rounds should be your goal. 500 misses do not accumulate to become a positive single hit, guys. This is not a video game, okay? So rifle marksmanship and the ways to perfect that are something that needs to be done. Medical support, nuclear, biological, and chemical defense. We are in the modern / quote-unquote modern age. I always love that one. That'll change depending on what year is coming up next as far as what's modern. And then they'll go right back to the old again and circle around. It's so interesting, and it's fascinating the way things work. But the skills can be perfected, and the basics must be mastered first. As an individual, even if you're by yourself and you're not organized with anyone else yet, those basic skills allow you to integrate with other people of like mind when you find them.
Exactly. So let's start with the basic. First of all, the will and the desire and the understanding why you're doing this. At that point, then, is an individual skill. I mean, before we get integrated with other people, we need to start to do our own homework as individual group. That means as individual cell of ourselves. Now, one thing I would like to remind everybody, I have no military background, but I did a military academy when I was in Italy. I never really went to the full service. I was pretty much all on let's say, rhetorical things, that's more on didactical things. One thing I know for sure, and you confirm this, shotgun is not going to win your freedom. If you have a shotgun home, it may be good for your home defense. If you have a handgun, that may be good for defending your person. You must become a rifleman. That's what Mark, you were saying, because the rifle is the only tool we have left right now as individual to defend our liberty. So I think at this point, let's talk about rifle, Mark. What is
in the basic? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I would like to ask you, let's give us a couple options according to the budget. Let's say a working man right now is just waking up, and maybe he's going to have the opportunity to have somebody like maybe a veteran or maybe going through some classes or whatever he can find that can afford, but he needs his first rifle. What type of caliber you suggest? What type of rifle you suggest? And ammunition, how many ammunition you suggest?
Excellent. There are basic rules here in different schools of thought, but there are two families of main rifles that would be applied to the militia cause. There are main battle rifles, MBRs. Those are heavy battle rifle calibers, typically weapons that traditionally came out of NATO back in the 50s, but also include the M1 Garand, which is a traditional U.S. military arm going back to World War II. The MBR category are long-range or, again, primary heavy infantry firearms. They can include bolt-action rifles, too, by the way. You're looking at a larger, heavier case. Light rifles, which some people try to call assault weapons, but you and I in America don't have assault weapons because we do not have select fire that we can buy over the counter. Because of that, we have semi-automatic light rifles. These include, for instance, the M16 AR-15 family of rifle, the AK-47 family of rifle in all of its variants. For instance, the Mini-14 in the United States, very common still, which is, again, in 223, 5.56 NATO. There are a number of other European weapons, HK, SIG, Sauer, that are built that are in the same category, but they're minority weapons because of cost. They're quite expensive by comparison. What we're looking at is affordability and commonality for parts and resources right now. And since the average person is, to a degree, been heavily disciplined by, for instance, the light rifles, either the AK or the AR-15 are good starter weapons. The AR-15 has several significant advantages. The AK has several significant advantages. Each have downsides also. Not critical at this point. Understand, if you commit to either of those two light rifle designs, the simplest basic form of the weapon is your first best choice at this point in time, both for cost and for performance. The AR-15, preferably an AR-15 A2, or an A1, an A2, or an A3 flat top would be fine, preferably with a 20-inch barrel. I know everybody's pushing the M4 / the 16.5-inch barrel, but remember, more barrel, more energy, greater range. And again, we're not looking at that much more in the way of weight. After all, the M16 A2 is a 7.5-pound rifle.
Yes.
So it's not like it's heavy, guys. In fact, we were argued to buy that rifle for the government because it lightened the infantrymen up, okay? Now, any of these weapons, commonality for parts, Magazines and ammunition are the first issue at this point in time for a person coming in late in the game. The AR-15 standard rifle, whatever model you choose or whatever maybe your cousin Ralph talks you into, because I can't influence you out there. You're going to make those decisions on your own. But a standard rifle, a bare bones basic rifle would be your best choice. You're on a learning curve. You may not have that much experience with the weapon. You don't need it to be any more complicated than the basic arm. And you have to learn the basics before you advance to the next tier in development or tiers in development. The standard AK is a fine rifle. It's very serviceable. They're both weapons. The AR-15 and the AK are streamlined. They are very reliable performance weapons. The M16, more maintenance, but while it requires more maintenance, it has a phenomenal magazine well that allows for quick change. This is a big plus for people who don't have as much experience because it's a no-brainer process of reloading the weapon. There are things that need to be remembered about the weapon, do's and don'ts, but an AR-15 can be purchased for a pretty reasonable price right now in its basic form. Magazines are readily available. And ammunition, again, I know people will try to talk you to a lot of other super special bullets and this one that mushrooms out to the size of a grenade. Basics. Ball ammunition should be your first choice, your purchase choice. Ball ammunition because it functions in every weapon flawlessly. What we mean by ball ammunition is FMJ/military service ammunition. The reason? Reliability. As a new shooter, if you don't have as much experience, you need to be focusing on putting the bullet on the target. Any distractions such as failure to feed or malfunctions in the weapon will, of course, disrupt your thought processes. And the less experience you have, the more likely they can be catastrophic, in other words, deadly on the battlefield. So we want everything in its basic form streamlined to the simplest system possible. At this point in time, again, if you buy the AR or the AK, I recommend a minimum of 20 magazines for the weapon. The cheapest but reliable is what you need to be looking at. There are quantity price deals you can make. Carve out the money from your budget and at least pick up at least 20 mags. And remember the basic rule: with magazines and ammo, more is better. How many should I have? As many as you can afford.
Yes, and I would like to say something, Mark. What you say is very important. First of all, one thing my experience. No matter what rifle you have, the most important weapon is yourself. We are the weapon. The rifle is just an extension of our will and our desire to defend our liberty. Because you can be even, let's say, having a bolt-action machine gun, but if you're trained, and more important, you're determined, you're not going to give up your life and your rights without a fight, I think you're much more dangerous than probably some guy out there with a $4,000 SCAR or some fancy rifle that pretty much have no desire and no training. So regardless what rifle you can afford, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the most important thing is train with what you have, be proficient, and more important, have the will, have your mind clear, made already your decision what you're going to do when you have to do it. Otherwise, if you're going to think then, when the things are happening, it's going to be too late, and that time is going to cost you probably your life. So this is my personal experience. I already made up my mind on things I'm going to do and things I'm not going to do before things may happen. Try to visualize. And I'm not saying that this is going to be like written in stone. We are human beings, okay? We have weaknesses. But at the same time, we at least start to prepare our soul, our mind for scenarios. And I think this is, for me, the most important weapon, having my mind prepared. Mark, when you say about ammunition, as many as you can afford, I completely agree with you. And if people they're saying, these are tough times, guess what? Prioritize. Maybe you should start to do some budget. Remove that expensive coffee stop during the morning and put the money aside. Maybe don't go for a vacation. There is no excuses. There are so many opportunities still out there. And I would like to share one thing that, Mark, probably you agree. One of the most affordable rifle out there still, it's a machine gun. For less than $130, you can get a battlefield rifle with very affordable ammunition. What do you think about that?
Oh, yes. In fact, very affordable ammunition. One of the nice things, too, is most of the ammunition that's coming out this fall in the NAGOT ammunition, if you're looking at, for instance, AK ammo and even much of the European ammo, it's coming in ham tins that are sealed from the environment and were packed for time. So you've got a great storage system already in place. Make sure you get the can openers to go with the cans. That way you can open them up. But as long as it's stored like that, you don't have to change a thing. Just open a can up to know what's in one of them, repackage that into a 30 caliber or a series of 30 caliber ammo cans, and now you have ammunition for familiarization and training, and you know that whatever's in the rest of the cans matches what you've trained with.
Yes. So the point is, as many ammo as you can afford. And, of course, don't think just because you have 1,000 rounds stashed under the bed, you're set. This is just to give you an idea. Think that the world could stop tomorrow, could end tomorrow, and what if you cannot afford anymore or there are no more ammunition available for sale? That's all you're going to have. So try to prioritize that. And I like the Mosin Nagant 762x54R because you can get for the same type of a performance of a 308, normally it's about almost $1 now if you get the good stuff in brass. You can get this for a fraction of a price, and we're talking about probably about 25 cents a round. And the good thing that many of these military surplus 762x54R, they're also steel core, something that you cannot find anymore in regular full metal jacket 308. So it's something to consider if you're on budget. But whatever you like, whatever you're comfortable, stock up. When I mean stock up, as Mark said, as much as you can afford after you pay your basic bills. Mark, what people sometimes forget, I go to the range and I see, yeah, they have a rifle, they got some ammunition, but then I don't really see their mindset. I don't see how they can even think they're carrying the rest of what they need. We're talking about gear. What do you need?
Again, most important here is we tailor our combat gear to match the weapon we've chosen. If you pick up that Mosin Nagant rifle, there are pouch systems for the ammunition that match that weapon. You need to tailor your combat load to match the weapon system you're going to use. If you buy a Nagant, then you need short magazines, and an assault mag vest like you see with deep pockets, long, narrow pockets, isn't going to make it, guys. It doesn't serve your purpose. A lot of the Mali gear and the older World War II, Korean War and Vietnam era stuff will work just fine. So you tailor your combat gear to fit the budget, something you were just talking about there. I don't have much money. We understand that. Look in the clearance. Look in the closeouts. Watch for U.S. military pistol belts. Watch for web gear, the suspenders, and progressively put a system together. You can do it bargain basement. But the important thing is that the weapons support system, the pouches or magazine pouches or ammo rings, depending on what you're committing to, how big the shell is, whatever you're going to do, you make sure that system matches, because operations in the field, nanoseconds, seconds, microseconds, moments count. And you need to be, first of all, developing your system, learn to operate the system and adjust the system so it fits you. You know, my arms are fairly long. My wife's arms aren't. So how I establish and put her gear together, her personal equipment together, it has to be designed so she can reach it and use it. Always remember that part of the program. You've got to make it fit you. You don't try to reach it. You need to try to make the system fit you. If you're older, or if you're smaller and you're handicapped or something, you can adjust your equipment accordingly to meet your needs. Don't just look at a program or something and they say, do it this way. Well, do it that way, but you need to be able to adjust so that you can operate the equipment, or it doesn't serve your purpose. Affordability, guys, you can spend whatever money you want on combat gear, web gear. There are two packages. There's what we call the combat load and the house load. Mm-hmm. Now, the house load's your backpack. The combat load is what supports your weapon and gives you some of the basics so that you can continue to fight effectively. And there's a lot of nice equipment out there that's not brand new. It's not the latest, greatest. But you know what? It was built by either the Americans or by a military that required a specific standard. So that older surplus is probably better built than the new stuff coming out of the machines today. So just because it's older doesn't mean it's by any stretch of the imagination outdated or ineffective. In fact, just reverse, it'll probably last longer than the newer stuff maybe you were looking at or shopping for in the latest spring catalog.
Okay, Mark, another thing now. At this point, as I said, this hour is going to be condensed. We're trying to get the basics out. And of course, you need to find your way to pretty much master the topics. We're talking about the rifle. we're talking about the gear, we're talking about the ammunition, we talk about, of course, your will and understanding why you're doing all this. Now we're talking also another thing, you know, in the average infantry, the basic 3 skills we have in any type of combat infantry, doesn't matter which type of military force, it is pretty much shoot, move, and communicate. We're talking about the shooting, now we not talk about the communication. There are many ways, but we must create a way of communication among each other. What do you have to say about this?
There are the options to go to small FRS or handheld radios of many different types. A lot of them are China sport made. In fact, a big chunk or lion's share of them are now. But this makes the equipment or the technology accessible and quite affordable. Personal radios for talk and squawk, or in other words, to fire and maneuver, are certainly a solution. You do also need to develop first the basic both hand communication and a method, a standard for talking even. This is something in the military you're taught, that, you know, it's, you know, move out, I got you covered, cover me, I'm moving out. There is a process that each part that you develop and everybody is able to communicate so they understand that the action is taking place. So you need to know how to communicate, and you need a standard. The military application standards are pretty well consistent, so take a look at those, and you'll get a better understanding of what we're talking about. But radio communications means that rather than shouting 100 yards, I'm able to quietly go click, 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 click with the receiver. I don't even have to talk. And I can give a signal to a man 100 yards away, and we could be on the same path to victory.
Very important, very important. Now, we were talking about books to read. You know, I'm just a student here, but in my little research the last few years, I found 2 books that probably you're familiar with, Mark. And let me tell you which books I found that they are pretty much important, at least to my experience. One was called, you can find it everywhere, also on Amazon. And please, people, write it down. At least take a look at that. It's called Light Infantry Tactics for Small Teams by Christopher Larson. Light Infantry Tactics for Small Teams. I don't know. I found it pretty interesting, pretty basics, but at least for me it was some sort of a good basic information. Did you ever heard about that, Mark?
It's an excellent text, and I recommend the guys, you put it in your home pack. If you've got the small paperback, you can actually, remember also, if you get it in computer, guys, you can print it to whatever size you want.
Good, good.
So here's a little trick. We call them quarter pagers. Okay, take a 8.5 by 11 and cut it into four uniform pieces. Now think about taking the computer printout version of this text and doing it as a manual. You'll have to adjust the font, and then you'll just print it out however many pages it takes. It may not match up with the regular page format. But the idea behind it is you can make a small pocketbook that you can actually transport and study as you go and use as a model. And that's one of the things I would do with that book. It can be carried as is. The big thing is that especially small unit operations, from the man, we have to go to the team. And that's where small unit operations come in. The fire team and the squad are the basic component. The platoon is the next size up, and company, which is the platoon are typically 4 squads. The company is typically 4 platoons. And as I've pointed out many times, for those of you who don't understand military structure, understand that it is biblical. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you another homework assignment. Go to your Bible, go to the Exodus from Egypt, and look up that little conversation that became the guidelines for the structuring of the tribes, where Moses' father-in-law confronted him about what he was doing and how he was running things. And when you read that, if you're a former military man, you'll go, that's where they got that from. So see how old that is? How long ago was the Exodus from Egypt? Well, I'd say that's a while back. And yet the basic rules for manpower management have not changed through the ages. There are variations, and this is what I was saying before. For instance, if you were to pick up a World War II manual from the Marine Corps, 1941, they would tell you that a fire team is 3 men, and that a squad is made up of three three-man fire teams and a squad leader. If you were to pick up a manual for standard infantry in 1964, For Europe, they would tell you, or for any battlefield with American forces, they would tell you that a fire team is 5 men with a fire team leader or a squad leader in each 5-man team and 2 5-man teams making a squad. But if I was mechanized, I'd be told I only have 4 men in a fire team, and one of those guys is the fire team leader, and then on the other 4-man team, well, wait a minute, I lost a couple guys. However you choose to format your structure when you go the next step, when you go from being a person to organizing your men, that's a personal flavor choice that I'm not going to worry about because we'll work it out in the long run. The big thing is that you pick a direction with a standard, and that once you establish it, perfect yourself in the use of that technique with that system.
Perfect. Another book I would like to talk to you, Mark, and tell me if it's okay. It's called Total Resistance is a mayor from the Swiss Army, von Duck.
Yes.
And it was one of the first books I read about 10 years ago, and I think it's a great manual to at least have the mindset, all the things you're saying here. You don't need to be just a young man fit to go to ready to defend your freedom. Every one of us, from the youngest to the oldest, we all can have a role. And that's what I really like about this book. This is something that the people can write it down, Total Resistance by von Duck. And what I'm saying, these guys, buy these books now. Today is 2015, and as I said, February the 1st, but in a few years from now, maybe a few months from now, we don't know. In many parts of the world, by the way, you cannot buy these books if you're a civilian. It would be considered a thought crime. So do everything you can to get your information now and share it. What do you think?
Total Resistance I highly recommend that book also because it gives you the basics to understand, it helps you to understand paraconventional and guerrilla warfare as an extension of any conventional operation. Paraconventional and unconventional. You won't see that term in that particular manual, but that's what they're talking about. Total resistance is the idea that every man is part of the fighting force. The true militia is every able-bodied man. And everybody can contribute to the battlefield, and that accumulative action is what creates victory, that focus, that mutual mindset.
Yes.
No matter how long it takes, we will win.
Exactly. So it starts all with the individual. No matter if you are alone, somewhere living in the mountain, or maybe strapped in some town, in some city, if you believe that you are ready for the task, it starts with you. And that's my point. But it would be good to think, Mark, at least when you have the foundation, the couple, the team, the 2 people, it's the basic foundation on any type of military operation, correct? To find the body.
Exactly. The other thing about being by yourself is that for the time being you can do that. But remember that an army of one soon becomes an army of none after the first 72 hours. At some point you have to sleep, guys. And while certainly you might have eyes in the back of your head I don't know about, the bottom line is that cooperative mutual support means that you have the ability to extend your performance and your strength, and your survivability is increased dramatically. Remember that this is a 24-hour clock when you're looking at a battlefield environment. You're looking at an invader that plans on trying to catch you unawares. And so what logic are they using? Well, they understand fatigue, they understand performance, they understand weapon systems. They're going to try to play those cards. You need to be prepared. So this is where we get into the next step, the next process of working as a team and understanding how to husband your energy. It's a matter of focusing, first of all, husbanding/controlling, and then focusing energy. That's what the effective warrior is all about. Taking, as you said earlier, Luca, this is one of the big things too. Is again, the weapon in a man's shoulder, whatever weapon you can put to your shoulder, can bring you victory. It's the mindset behind bringing that weapon to its full fruition, to being able to take that weapon and make it perform, to accomplish a short-term goal, to get you to the next goal, which will get you to a greater goal, which will help you to complete the final goal or the overall mission statement. Example, maybe I don't have as good a weapon, but you see that guy over there that I'm aiming at? He's got the next weapon I'll be carrying.
Exactly. So this is important. Yeah. Like this is happening in every part of human resistance against tyranny. Doesn't matter if it was a foreign invasion or was a tyrannical domestic tyranny. The point is the tools that we have today may be just tools that we need to get other tools that we may get from the enemy. That's the point. So don't get discouraged right now that you don't have the rifle of your dreams or you don't have the gear that you dream. At the point, if you have the will, if you have enough training with whatever you have, this is good enough. Because the point is, Mark, in every type of scenario that we may face as American people or human beings being pretty much under the threat of a tyrannical government or even just an invasion, we all never going to have a chance to go face-to-face with the enemy. Our goal is try to work as an asymmetrical warfare. That means we're going to go in pretty much in guerrilla warfare mode. So it's not going to be like we have to worry about we have to put tanks against tanks, correct?
It'll vary depending upon what you can access from the enemy and how you work the environment. And this is where, even if you can access a heavier weapon, remember the basic rules of guerrilla warfare. If you can't use it, you burn it. But if you can use it, you use it until you have to burn it. In other words, if I could acquire a tank, if you were overrunning a position and you've got a bunch of, bodies hanging around the equipment and you just took it by storm and it's functional and running, well, you run it until it runs out, and then you burn it when you're done with it. But you use it to, the best advantage you can in the short term to do the most damage, to do, take their weapon and use it against them. Or, if need be, take the weapon, carry it away, cache it, and use it in the future. In the paraconventional is where, again, we're still using, and we always will use, whatever weapons are at our disposal. We will pull them into service. But we may, again, the term husband, in other words, manage or control and hold in reserve a certain amount of force until we've built up sufficient force to use those combined weapons to a more effective final end. But if you capture it, if all else fails, if there's 100 rounds there, why not dump 100 rounds downrange on your enemy? Well, that's kind of overkill. Yeah, but it's free. In other words, there's a dozen mortar rounds sitting there. You have the ability to crank that mortar round and dump it on the bad guys. If you do know what you're doing with fuse setting, there's a bunch of things you need to learn. But if you know what you're doing, you swing it around and you dump those rounds. Maybe you grab that mortar, you drag it away, grab the tube and drag it away. You'll use it in the future, maybe even a few of the rounds. But burn what you can't carry away. In other words, use it. And if you can't use it, deny leaving it, to the enemy, that you just took it from. Don't let them get it back.
Perfect.
That's part of unconventional warfare 101 that everybody needs to remember. Use it on them. Use it on them hard. Make it so messy and nasty and horrible that, well, they're really not going to like the idea of proceeding with whatever they're doing, because that's what warfare is all about. Their logic is that they're going to oppress us to the point where we're going to bow to their tyranny and lick their boot. Well, in the long run, no matter how we look at it, that's fatal. In the earlier phases, it's, a certain amount of accommodation to convince you to put lay down your weapons and become their property. But once you've laid down your arms, there is no two sides to the negotiation, and it is inevitable. It is not an if. It is only a when lethal force will be used against you.
Mark,
if you decide to be disarmed.
Do you agree that try to avoid to be infiltrated, or even just to have people that we are human beings. We have different personalities. We may sometimes want all the same goals, and we may have the same type of desire to be free and to fight together. But sometimes we have different personalities. So don't you think maybe it's a good idea to try to keep the squad, at least the group, small, at least as you can, and always start from bottom up, never from top bottom? Exactly. One of the things to remember here is small unit operations that progressively build. Don't become so big. Always remember that if you as a smaller institution, you eventually will accumulate people as you become more successful or as you find more people of like mind. The small unit formation is still the element that will be typically victorious against the big guy, because small units can infiltrate and exfiltrate. They can disperse and then reorganize at their discretion, strike where they choose to, and leave again. Most important is that you find people of like mind. And you have to be, as a leader, if you're going to first develop, or you're going to be a team leader. I notice I didn't say general or captain. The key word here is manager/leadership. And what we're looking at is sculpting our formation. You need to find people first of like mind. You need people that will stay focused.
You have to be able to, gauge people. In other words, you have to evaluate people, understand what their strengths and weaknesses are. Some people will never be riflemen. This is why we have what's called a combined arms team, and why we joke about the term spraying and praying. There are some people who just can't get behind a weapon and keep those sights on target. But you know what? You put them behind a belt-fed gun, and they can kind of golf ball the stuff where it needs to go. Well, you find what the performance level of each individual is, and you tailor them into a stronger overall body.
Exactly. And thing, Mark, one thing I'm sure you agree. The point is, it's not just about shooting. Also, it's about logistics. I mean, we are pretty much in charge of our own selves. It's not like the professional army that they have a bunch of slaves behind washing their clothes, dishes, and, feeding them and all these things. We must take care of ourselves. So it is important, no matter how old you are, you can help with logistics, correct?
Exactly. Everybody can be part of the deep logistics train. Remember, logistics is the key to victory. If you do not have that logistic train, available where it's needed, then you're going to see hardship and losses that are that aren't necessary. Prior proper planning is most critical here. All of you older people and many younger people, or again moms that are going to be taking care of the families, the men of the household would be fighting. There are things that can still be done. Food production, medical support. There are so many overlapping subjects that need to be dealt with. I would point out again, too, that with regard to the infrastructure, even in the field, radio operator, a person that can handle a radio or can at least monitor. You don't have to be talking, but you need to have an ear. Perfecting those skills now will assist to, again, take people away from tasks that allow them to be up front, and the healthiest, the strongest, the ablest can move forward and project our energy, our strength against the enemy. All of you can be part of this operation. And let me give you an example of where you have to balance this. There are doctors that are pissed at what they see going on right now. This Obamacare thing, for instance, really PO'd a lot of people. They've organized into the militia. And again, I'm sure that they're good riflemen. They have the money and they have the resources. They have great tools. They've spent the money where they need to. But do you really want that trauma surgeon that can keep Luca alive if he's hurt? Is the doctor more valuable as a rifleman, or is he more valuable in that trade that he has perfected? A surgeon is a priceless individual, very difficult to replace, and in a very specialized, skilled trade. He can keep 100 or 1,000 of my warriors alive.
Yes.
And while they might not be perfect, they can get back out on the battlefield and help to contribute to the victory. So that's where the balance is. We've always joked, I'd take that doctor out. It'd be like big game hunting. I'd take a slot out, give the doctor his rifle, and say, okay, shoot a couple if you want, but we got to get back to work. I got to get you back to the hospital or get you back to the bunker. Because that doctor is so much more valuable. All of you, everybody has their own skill. Some of you have priceless skills, though, that are so critical that first we need you to perform them for us, and then we also need you to teach other people to do the same thing.
Yes, and just to let you know, guys, if you're listening to this broadcasting, no matter if today or in the future, this is the person who's talking right now to you is Luca Zanna, and my guest and my friend, and really what many inspire me to really get involved into this is Mark Koernke from Michigan. And we are doing this for sharing a message, try to put out a blueprint, or at least to give you some input how you can develop the skills to defend humanity and defend our freedom, and of course for Americans, our republic against global government and any type of enemy, foreign or domestic. We're talking about how to start and organize a militia. Mark, talking about the situation of, tactical advantage, secrecy or no secrecy. For example, here in Arizona, it is in our state constitution. I am not shy to say that every one of us, every man over 18 till 45, and of course even more if you want to, you automatically part of the militia. At the same time, even I'm not apologetic about this, I believe that to keep privacy, to keep the element of stealth, to not give the enemy the advantage to know what's going on, I believe that secrecy could be a good edge. What do you think about this?
And it is a viable solution to dealing with being able to organize effectively and quietly by recruiting based upon word of mouth and individuals that you know. Approach them and ask questions. And you may be surprised at the response that you're going to get from different individuals, some positive, some negative. This is where we've talked about, again, the water finding its own level. You are looking for people who are of like mind. You need hard chargers. You want people that are focused. They do not have to be physically perfect. Again, I don't care the mindset. I'd rather have a person with a good mindset with some kind of physical limitation as opposed to somebody who's frivolous and is thinking of this as a 2-hour movie where it's going to be a part-time job and we can go party hardy over here and order pizza and then we're going to go and play some more. This is an adult issue is the only way to describe it, and we have a lot of good people out there who are on the same page as we are. They need to be sought out. You carefully and meticulously, step by step, go through the process of building that fire team of 5 men. Notice I didn't say building an army of 40 or 100. A quality group of 5 individuals from the get-go gives you a solid core, an anvil, a foundation to start with. Each of these individuals you have high confidence in. Now, I would say from the get-go, we do not need explosives. You do not need machine guns. You do not need short-barrel anythings. Those are the most common tricks the bad guys will play within our circles, or has tried to. They haven't been successful all the time. But the basic rule is, again, the concept of the primary battle rifle, whatever you choose, its normal length, is going to be not just sufficient, but you will find out eventually is preferred. Eventually you will see that whatever your enemy has will become yours. In the earliest phase, remember, your enemy is nothing but a mobile resupply pod to be stripped down to his underwear when the time comes.
Mark.
And you'll even take the underwear because you need gun cleaning rags.
The hour is already gone, but I would like to, if you don't mind, I'd like to take 1 second break, and I want just to keep you for 5 more minutes. Please, listeners, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Today is a special broadcast, Sunday the 1st February 2015, and my special guest is Mark Koernke from Michigan. So don't go away, stay tuned. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Gianluca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. We are back. Mark, there's so much, but, we try to do what we can in the limited time. One thing I wanted to ask you before I let you go. At this point, you were talking about how to try to avoid to be infiltrated, how to avoid to be set up. The enemy always trying to find a way to set us up. We don't need to do anything illegal. Even, of course, in my opinion, what they've done to us, it's illegal. I mean, 1934, the first gun control act was illegal. But regardless, we play by the rules, so we don't give them the edge to try to put us in this type of situation. Now, one thing I want to ask you, Mark. I heard one time a YouTube of yours a few years ago, pretty much in your experience, according to your vision, how all this is going to happen. I mean, we're talking about right now for America, our country, and how things may start. We know that we are really close. My opinion, we are like probably not even more a minute from midnight. It's like 30 seconds. Anytime we could pretty much reach that time. How you in your vision, according to your experience and your guts, how you think it's going to start?
Well, as I see it, especially with the present scenario, obviously Connecticut and New York, they've already passed the anti-gun laws. The foot should have already fallen within the last 2 years. We're now coming up on the 2nd anniversary year of the passage of the Connecticut, the abhorrent and unlawful Connecticut gun laws that were passed without anybody reading them. Remember, that was the big brag. Well, they passed it under the assumption that we were all just going to be stupefied peasants and just say, please take our weapons. Now, Connecticut is not a very big state, but at some point they're going to have to either do or not do. And the internationalists have already told you that they've passed the international, small arms gun ban treaty, arrangement. We're not part of that as far as the people go, even though the corporation, the president of the corporation, Barry Soetoro, has, gone along with it. He didn't sign for us. He signed for himself and for the corporation. Now, possession is 9/10 of the law, but the bottom line is everything has been frozen for this 2-year period. They're going to come out and try to take the guns to kowtow the population, to cow the population down to demand that we supplicate before the altar. Now, it's not going to happen. And what's going to take place is the population is going to be, going to be hit somewhere, probably more than one location. Watch for JTF and MJTF operations, Joint Task Force and Multi-Jurisdictional Task Force operations. When one of the states is hit, it will not just be the state, it will be the Fed and internationalists attacking at the same time. Now, whoever's being accosted, whoever's being assaulted, will probably fight, which will initiate at least a contact point. Most likely, the way that it's going to really escalate is that somebody's going to call Fred. Fred's going to call Bill. Bill's going to call Luca. Luca's going to call Mark. Mark's going to call John. Everybody's going to be talking about it. A bunch of people are going to jump in their trucks or jump in their military vehicles that they've already purchased, squared away, and they're set up as infantrymen. And there's going to be a bunch of people going to help, Jeff and Bill over in Bob over in Connecticut at a farm or a neighborhood. And somewhere where another column of, black uniformed secret police are moving in another direction, they're going to meet at an intersection nobody's ever heard of. And there's going to be a bunch of shouting and screaming and crazy, nonsense from the knuckle-dragging, secret police. And the people on the other side are really not going to put up with much of it. And someone's going to pull the trigger, and it's going to escalate there very quickly. And it is going to be a very sharp, nasty confrontation. It won't make any difference who pulls the trigger, but I'll put money on it. It'll be just as likely one of our people as one of theirs, because everybody is tired of this nonsense. That will escalate very quickly across the borders and outside of Connecticut or outside of New York. And it will not be like Connecticut, or forgive me, like the Battle of Lexington and Concord, although the word on that traveled instantly. Imagine it moving even faster in moments as people even get a chance to see live feeds of the exchange of fire. If everybody can have the opportunity to do that, people off to the side will be taking pictures and passing the information on, and there will be irrefutable evidence that a war has begun.
Mark,
that's what everybody needs to be prepared for, because you won't be able to stop it. What you will have to do is fight it and win it. I'm
concerned that since these people that pretty much now with technology, computer systems, and also learning from the mistake of past, they have a bunch of team of people that they're trying to analyze every scenarios. I'm concerned that, first of all, communication is going to be shut down. So we're not going to be able to have the regular internet or cell phones or phones to call each other. So we better start to think some other alternative ways to communicate. And
Absolutely.
I also believe that another thing that right now, especially with call me conspiracy theories, call me crazy, but I have some dreams about this few months ago. You remember very well that during the last census in 2010, for the first time in American history at least, we had every household was GPS. You remember that? We have that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we reported on it. It was happening every step of the way. Even confronted some of the people that were doing it.
GPS is a military tool. I mean, I don't see any other reason why the government should know exactly with the 1 foot, error distance exactly where is my front door, and
they attached it to your name.
Exactly.
Remember that, because the census is attached to your name.
Exactly. So we have a GPS situation. Then we have 2 years ago, Congress sold out one more time, and with Obama, for the first time now, we have over 30,000 drones legally, between quotes, that pretty much can be over our U.S. skies. And when you put the drones and you put the GPS together, and you put maybe facial recognition, or just you give them a mission with an address. I mean, I am concerned that when the enemy will try to strike, will strike less we expected, and they already have, a list that we well know, probably people like me or you, I'm nobody, but, just the fact I'm here with you, talking with you over this radio, and just the fact that the books that I talk and the letters to the editor, doesn't matter. We're all somehow on a list at different levels. But I believe that they will try to pretty much cut the heads of people like us before even we can wake up in the middle of the night. I'm concerned about that. What do you think?
Well, the thing is that, again, the technology is there, but we have counter technology that's much more affordable, cheaper, that could knock down most of it in a few moments. The thing is we need to be prepared or ready to at least get the working knowledge out there and have some of the technology in motion. Microwave, the standard house microwave can be built into a weapon that will virtually EMP out anything that they've got that's flying that's small like that. They can't protect it or armor it enough. In order for it to be able to work the way it did, they went with microchip and very light electronics. Because of that, they're very susceptible to radar cannons. And radar cannons would be one of the several high priorities in the early stages. Now, before we go that far, though, let's remember what you were just talking about when I discussed the point of contact reference, how it'll start. In the initial phase, for a short time, there will be a confusion window. Now, if they can, they'll regionally shut something off, but there's too much overlapping technology that we have, that people have that are in, the Patriot movement and just in general the population, that the message will get out. And, in fact, the more blurred it is, the more deadly it is for the regime. Because probably the best example is, remember, before we had Lexington and Concord, we had Salem. Now, if everybody thinks it's impressive that the Patriot movement responded with 20,000 people on the road in Lexington and Concord, when the British went to Salem before that, the argument is up to 40,000 people responded. Even more men responded to the action for Lexington and Concord than responded the day that Lexington took place, April 19th, 1775. And the biggest concern here was, again, how did the message get out? Well, it got out word of mouth. And what made it worse is that even though nobody had been shot, by the time the word got past the first town, the argument was that people had been shot in Salem. So people en masse and came forward, bayonets ready, guns ready, and were hunting for a contact to make put a bullet in them. That was already the case before we got into the official start-off for the American War for Independence. And I think it would be worse for them today because the ability to sortie in and pick your target, if it's one-sided and they played, European police state like in communist Russia, that would be one thing. But in America, number one, every one of you, if you were to arm up right now, you typically will have a better weapon than the soldier that you're facing. And I'm going to tell you this, like the more that you get, the bigger the Army, like when you get in the Army and the Marine Corps and all that, guys, they don't like to clean their weapons. Your personal firearm, you sculpted it, picked it, chose it, bought it, you bought a barrel you liked, you bought the magazines you liked, you bought the weapon that fits and works. They've got to take what comes off the rack. Do you see the difference between the two right off the bat?
Yes.
And now, because of that, we actually have superiority in performance with our arms. Even your basic deer rifle has superior performance to the average infantry rifle, even as a machine gun, an assault rifle. Why? Because, many of the men who would come with that rifle have killed how many deer over 20 or 30 years, and probably a few people, because typically they're veterans, too.
Yes, and that's true. This is true. At the same time, the element of, we live in our households. We have a regular life, most of us at least. And the point is, where you sleep, I don't care how good you are. But, if I had to visualize, if I was the enemy, if I were the enemy, and I would go try to get this country with force, I would
catch it unawares.
Yes, I would. First of all,
you
need to find out exactly who are the targets, and then take them like when you are a fox, you want to be sure that you go slowly. You get one chicken at a time. You don't want to wake up the rest of the family of the chickens out there. So you're gonna get them in a way that almost pick them out one by one. And, when you think you have probably, I don't know, we already have, very well in China, in Hawaii, for the first time of American history, 2 years ago, in December 2 years ago, this administration pretty much gave we have Chinese troops exercising in Hawaii on U.S. soil. And you know very well that FEMA, 2 years ago, always with this administration, they had an official agreement with the Russian troops that in case of any emergency, they can use Russian troops to pretty much control the safety of our streets. And people, if you think we are a bunch of crazy here and talking about strange things, what I've just told you, just the fact that FEMA, and it's official from FEMA website, okay, this is not some conspiracy theorist website, from FEMA.gov, you're still able to find it. There was a great article from the New American Magazine. FEMA now has an agreement with Russian troops that pretty much if there is an emergency in America, on American soil, they will use Russian troops to keep the peace. Think about this. That would freak you out, especially after you know who we have right now sitting in the White House. So the point is, you don't think that our soldier would never do that. There is not going to be any more our soldiers. Probably they are somehow in Korea, or maybe they're going to be in Germany. We're going to be far away, like many of them already are. So that's my point, Mark. I believe that this is going to be more important, the timing, and trying to understand, try to smell the wind, things before happening. Maybe it's time to have another location as a B plan in case something happens or we smell that something's going to happen. Maybe we shouldn't stay in our regular home waiting for things to come to us.
Absolutely. One of the things to remember is that's the retreat concept, but it doesn't even have to be on your piece, on a piece of property that you own. Remember, if you have friends, family, Uncle Fred may have a large farmstead in Wisconsin or Michigan or wherever, if you're in Michigan or if you're in Pennsylvania. Well, hey, I'd like to put a little hunting cabin back in the back 40 there. Is it okay? Now what you do is, before everything goes too far, you dig that little bunker underneath, or at least a cache underneath that little cottage that you're going to build, and you put it inside the tree line so it's hard to see. You build it during the summer when you have overhead cover, if at all possible. And that way, by the time it's done and in place, it has that Star Wars lived-in look. It looks like it's been there the whole time. The big thing is that if you do this, the recommendations, a quick read, a good read is Patriots, Surviving the Coming Collapse by James Wesley Rawls.
Yes.
That's an excellent book. There's a whole bunch of other books that he's written, and it is an excellent text that should be on your library shelf, your private library, and you should make sure that every family member reads it.
Yes, this is very important. So just start to think, guys, don't put all your eggs in the same basket. Start to think about what if really you had to leave your place and your life is more important than any materialistic things you have. You must survive to fight another day. So don't leave all your efforts, all your sacrifice, and the things you have in one place. Spread it around and have a big place. Mark, so much to say. All I want to say thank you. It's been an honor that at least to have met you in this life, and thank you for inspiring me to at least be awakened. This has happened a few years ago for me, and I hope we're going to really probably listen to this broadcasting a few years from now, and maybe we're going to be saying, wow, we were worried and we found a way to fix things in a different way, and I really pray for that. I always pray for peaceful solutions, but at the same time, I cannot be ignoring the reality that we have around us, and I really think, according to the facts and the logic, that only a miracle can save us now to something that it's happening and there is no way to stop it. And the only way we're going to make it better is going to be almost to push the reset button. That's what I believe. And it's not even going to be us pushing for that. They will go pushing it to us. I believe that they're going to force us to do things that we don't want to do. This is really what I feel as a human being right now, also as an American, because, I have no other options. There is no place to retreat, and retreat is not an option. I've been around the world. I chose this place, and I'm telling you guys, if you think that you're going to just pack your stuff and go somewhere else, there is nowhere to go. This is the last place you have. First of all, it's our God-given right to do it, and also it's our duty. And even if you never took an oath as a soldier or as a peace officer, it is your duty as American to stand up for our republic. Mark, I like so much when you say you end your shows with your mythological, your phrase that I would like you say one more time about, we shall prevail and all these things, but you say better than me. Please go ahead. Give me one.
Very good. God bless the Republic. Death to the New World Order. We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The Empire is on the run. and we're on the march, kicking them every step of the way on down the road, right to the coast and beyond. Thank you, sir.
And this was Mark Koernke, and I am Luca Zanna, and you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Thank you very much, Mark.
If you love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude than the animated contest of freedom, go from us in peace. We ask not your counsels or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains sit lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen. The line in the sand, you know the time is coming. The line in the sand, are you going to watch while we're fighting? The line in the sand, just tell me now where you're going to stand. How much more you're gonna take it? How much more you're gonna fake it? Now you decide what you'll do when they come. They'll come for you. Seconds before midnight.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
And we are back. This is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. This is the final hour of the show, today's show, Sunday show. We know very well that this is a Sunday show, but I also know very well that this show is being shared and replayed also on YouTube, on Spreaker, and also, of course, on Guerrilla Media Network. And I want to say something, this show, of course, is about freedom, it's about guns, but also, as you very well know, it's also about love. And I ask you today for your love. This show, I having so much joy just meeting great people and also having the opportunity to sharing things that I think they're important to me. And not because they're important to me, because I think they're important pretty much to our future as a free human being. So I'm just trying to do my little part, but I need your help. And all I'm asking you, first of all, if you agree with what I'm trying to do here, your help to share the show. You can go to YouTube, to my channel, and just go to, for example, lovegunsfreedom.com, and you see there is an archive section where you can see every show I've done in the past. Feel free to share every show you can. There is a page. In every page there is the information and also the YouTube of the show. So it's going to be there pretty much forever till YouTube doesn't shut me down. So I need your help. As an act of love, I need your help to grow, to get this message out, and also I need your help to become active. It is not just about me listening. I mean, I'm just a regular guy, as you know, with my limitations. I'm trying to do my best, okay? English is not exactly my first language, even of course that's the language I practice and I speak since I came to America, but I got my limitations. You can do better job than I do. You can maybe start your own little web radio show or even radio show, even just talking to your friends and family. Create a blog. Do something. I'm not doing this show because I have ideas of, grandeur or to become a radio guy. I want to do this show because it's my limited time that I have during my week. I want to try to do everything I can to inform my fellow Americans about very important topics, that only when we know the truth and we have enough factual information about some topics, we can make our own decisions if we want to become free human beings or we want to stay slave. Because the reality is we are slaves. And you may maybe now listening for the first time, you think I'm just pretty much, an extremist, I'm crazy. Why you think we're slave? We are not slave, we are free. You really think you're free? Really? Let me give you just a couple examples. For example, you're driving the car right now, okay? You're driving your car. Probably you're just doing everything right, but you know very well that you are forced to put a seatbelt on you, and you know very well that you're not endangering anybody else. There is no excuse why you're putting the seatbelt. I put a seatbelt on me when I want to do it because I know it is the right thing to do for my safety. But when the state claims to be God and claims ownership over my body, is doing this exactly the moment that they can find me, and if I do not pay the fine, I can also get arrested or have my license revoked if I do not comply with their orders to submit my body, in this case, to submit my body under the seatbelt. It may be a stupid thing, but think about it. After all, it's your body. It is your safety. You're not endangering anybody else. Same story with my helmet. I know in Arizona we still have the freedom to choose if we want to put a helmet, but in most of the parts of the country and around the world, we are slaves. And there are so many other issues now. Look at federal level. The government pretty much decides that they can force you to buy a product that probably you do not want or you do not need, especially at the type of prices that they try to impose on us. I'm talking about healthcare. So when the point is that the government pretty much is claiming ownership over your body, from the smallest things, simple things like a seatbelt, it seems something so innocent, and probably there are a lot of good, feel-good explanation, after all, for your safety. Guess what? Mind your freaking business. This is my body, and the government does not own my body. So we are slaves. That's the reality. We are slaves economically. Think about it. We have a private bank called the Federal Reserve, but it's private. Go check it out. They in 1913 took over the monetary system of this country. And now every time our U.S. government needs a dollar, it is a dollar of debt. Instead of printing our own money like the government used to do, like U.S. Treasury, now we have to go back to this cartel of international bankers called the Federal Reserve, and every time they give us a dollar, they put us one more dollar in bondage. That means you have to pay back this dollar with your labor. That's why before 1913, we did not have income tax. Now the income tax, all it does, it goes to pay back to the debt of the interest to the private Federal Reserve. So reality is that we are slaves. Sorry. Maybe in some part of the world, like Arizona, we are less slaves, but we are still slaves. And it's our job, our duty here to first of all acknowledge the problem, share the information, wake up our other fellow Americans, and then fight back with facts, starting with the political process, with our dialectics, with our logic, and be ready also to defend our life if we have to. Because unfortunately, this is not a game. This is not a joke. I mean, with the first 2 hours you heard, especially the hour now with Mark Koernke, I mean, the point is, we don't want violence. We are for peace. I am for peace, at least speaking for myself. But at the same time, I refuse to live like a slave. You know very well, now the EPA pretty much is already said, they already said that the outlawing, without even doing a passing a law, just by regulations, you're not allowed anymore to have the old type wood stove. They're going to become illegals. Think about it. Meanwhile, they're spraying the crap out of us with weather modification programs, pretty much denying, but it's still out there. There are public documents called also chemtrails. They're completely saturating the sky with heavy metals, but they're so worried about our wood stove. Or they're going to tax you for your carbon emission. That means every time you breathe or fart, you're going to get taxed. That's why they want to do the carbon tax, just because we exist. And by the way, California was already in the book. They're going to prepare it now with the next, when you buy gasoline at the pump, is already there, a carbon tax. It's happening. So this is the point of the show. The show is an act of love. And I'm telling you guys, you know, I'm not trying to be dramatic. Probably I'm just a small fish. I'm just a little guy that, you know, was given the opportunity to share his facts, or his hopes, his fears, and also his way that what I learn and what I'm learning, because I'm learning every day a little more, and it's just a journey, never ends. And whatever I learn, I would like to share with you. And all I hope we can all help each other, because we need each other. This is the bottom line. And, you know, I hate when people try to label any one of us, or you're right wing, or you're left wing, or they try to divide us, guys. You know, we may, as I said, we may have a lot of things we don't agree, but one thing we should agree, we should stick with truth, with facts. You know, that's why I became an independent. That's why I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat. I believe that we need to look first of all at facts. Okay, and stop playing this partisanship. Like our guy, my guy is better than your guy. They both bad. They both terrible. So, little bit of news. The good news, Mitt Romney is not running for president. Finally. Thank you, Lord. I mean, seriously. I mean, give us a break. Twice was bad enough. One more time it would be impossible to bear. Not because I voted for him ever, but still. Anyway. And what else? Of course, bad news. You got Jeff Bush, you know, the Bush dynasty going back in, running for president. And then, you know, of course, you have the Clinton dynasty. Guys, don't you understand? This is supposed to be a republic. It's becoming like some sort of a TV series, like Dynasty. I remember it's like these movies, like two families pretty much control everything. And remember, they don't even control anything anyway. They're just the puppets. Who's behind them? That's the point. Now, back to the situation. This is the hour supposed to be about love, okay? And a little bit of food and a break. But it's hard to stay away from all this fact. Okay, before we go back, I'm going to go back with some ideas about food. I like to always find new ideas or food that you enjoy, that is healthy according to my standard, and also is something good for your budget, and also for eventual situations of preparation. Okay, because things are getting rough here, guys. Okay, I'm sure you know. Everybody now starts to feel it. Maybe a couple of years ago, not everybody. Now everybody's feeling it. The economy is going to be worst. You think it's bad now? We've seen nothing yet. So I think it's good to start to find food that we like now, that we can enjoy. At the same time can be pretty much kept for long storage. And also it's healthy. Okay, I got some ideas running. Meanwhile, before we go there, I would like to remind you, first of all, one sponsor, that is something that is very important, is one on my website. It's about freedom. It's about love. It's called freedomlovers.us. I already said many times, this is the first dating site that is not just for dating, it's also for people that are already pretty much busy, or let's say engaged or boyfriend, doesn't matter. It's a like-minded community. If you believe in freedom, if you believe that nobody owns you and you do not own anybody else, and you have the basic principle that you have right until you infringe on somebody else's rights, you should check it out, freedomlovers.us. You can open a free account, upload your photos, upload videos, create a blog, advertise your business. There is also a great section for free classifieds. I mean, this is something opportunity. This also was an act of love. I had a vision. I would like to do some sort of a virtual community where we can find each other and also find each other for beautiful things of life, friendship, networking, love. Why not? So please go to freedomlovers.us and if you can, just check it out. Then another important thing I would like to remind you, this is the way I support this show. My time is pretty much, I put it as a volunteerism, but I have other costs. And, I would like really that every one of you is listening. Normally I don't ask for anything, but this time, if you can, it's coffee time. When I have a friend that I respect, when I can, I always buy my coffee. Guess what? You can buy me a coffee. With just 99 cents, you can go to my website, www.zanna.us. You can go there. There is a music section. And for just 99 cents, pick any of my songs, any. And at that point, downloading a song with just 99 cents, you support this show. And I appreciate it. And like you buy me a coffee. 99 cents, everybody can afford it. So in this way, I do not need to rely on sponsors. Don't get me wrong. I always like sponsors. But when I have sponsors, also I need to like the sponsors myself. And more important, when you have sponsors, sometimes sponsors, they want to tell you or they want to give you some sort of directions what to say. I like to say pretty much what I want. So you are my main sponsor, the listeners. So let's have a little bit of time with some music, and then we come back and we go into some different type of ideas for prepping, for food, and some other great ideas of love. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Stay tuned. Wake up.
Resist. Persist. Learn. Share. Rise. Rise. This is your life. Freedom, don't let it die. Rise, don't just survive. Rise, it's our time. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Can you see? Can you see? Can you see the light? Don't believe. Don't believe. Don't believe the lie. Don't break. Don't be fake. Open your eyes. No more lies. Stop the war. Feed the poor. Join the fight. Don't comply. Say no to NW crew. They want to slave us all. 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 Government, you ain't my God. 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 Learn the government. Freedom never dies. Learn the government. Learn the government. Freedom never dies. Learn the government. Learn the government. Freedom never dies. Learn the government. Never dies.
Yes, government, you ain't my God. Government, you are not my God, man. Sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry to disappoint you. But if somebody has to be God, first of all, it's above us. But even if you don't believe in God, guess what? We, the people, created you, government. So let's try this up, okay? Anyway, here friends from Facebook tried to contact me, and just right now don't have the time because we are here live. Recording, sorry. Today we are not live, we are recording, but for me it's always live because I'm alive, that's why. Anyway, what I was talking about is food. You know, I love pasta, you know, guys, and for me it's a great way to storage food. Why? Because it's not just about nutrition. People say, oh, pasta is not enough. Guess what? Depends how you cook the pasta, what type of ingredients you may have, of course, but it's also something I like. And that's the most important thing, I believe. Even in an emergency situation, you cannot keep eating boring food all day long. You're going to go crazy, okay? So you must find a compromise between, first of all, healthy nutrients, nourishment, flavor, something that you enjoy, also healthy. People can live also out of, let's say, MRI and all this long storage, chemically prepared and preserved food. But, you're going to get sick. You cannot last long in that way. So it's like an art. Try to find a good compromise between price, health, and, of course, deliciousness and taste and nourishment. Now, I have different options. One of my staples, because my DNA really likes pasta. Okay, after all, I'm from Italy, so I stock up on pasta. But you must also know that when you stock up on pasta, try to get pasta, for example, first of all, that is completely in plastic. There are some packages that they're also in cardboard. That means dust can get inside and little, flies or whatever. So get completely sealed in plastic only. Then I always say when I get pasta, I like to get organic. Because unfortunately now GMO is pretty much taking over everywhere. Monsanto and these bastards, they're pretty much taking over the world, and they try to, put their seeds everywhere. So get organic, GMO-free pasta. Honestly, when it comes to pasta, I don't like, the all pasta, the brown pasta. I like the white pasta. Okay, I know many people say, "Oh my God, it's bad for your health." I don't care. I'm gonna be dead probably before that by something else. But at least I want my pasta done right. This is for me one of my main staples. When you have pasta, all you need is the extra virgin olive oil, and a little bit of a couple of vases out there with some garlic, grow some basil, grow some herbs, and some chili, and I'm always going to be happy. I can make my pasta peperoncino. But not everybody is like me, and I understand that pasta only is not enough. So, things I would like to suggest you, according to my experience, to stock up now. We already talked in the past about some of them. One, for example, one of my best meals I really enjoy, it's the lentils. They're great. Get them organic, GMO-free. You can go to Amazon. There are some great packages for 20 pounds, free shipping, about $40, something like that. I mean, it's still, you can find cheaper stuff, of course, at Walmart or things like that. But I want to have good quality stuff, not from some countries that I don't even know how to pronounce their name. I want U.S.-made, U.S. farm, lentils, GMO-free and organic if I can. If you go to Amazon, you can find good deals, free shipping, and I think it's a good way to storage proteins and fiber and also carbs, natural carbs. So that would be on my top list, because lentils, you put a little bit of extra elements, could be a couple potatoes and a little bit of cheese, and guess what? You have a complete meal. Okay. Number 2, of course, I like quinoa. We talked about this in the past. A good place to find it. You can go to Walton Feed. Now they call it rainydayfoods.com. Used to be Walton Feed. And they have a great, 40 pounds plastic containers of quinoa. Something to take a look. It's not cheap. It's getting up in price, but it's still cheaper than hormones-infested meat, estrogen-infested cows, full of, first of all, how long can you keep, let's say you must eat these cows, okay? You're so desperate for these estrogen-filled cows from the regular grocery shop. That's what you get. You get your burger, you think you get your ground meat, it's meat. That's mostly is a poison, my guys. I'm sorry, it's fat with some, they call it, what is it, this sort of worms. It's pinky stuff. But the point is, cost you so much money, and forget it is bad for your health, in my opinion, and make you full of estrogen. You're going to change sex, okay, without your will. But more important, also look how long you can preserve, storage meat. What if the electricity goes down? I can storage quinoa or lentils for many years. Just keep it in a very dry environment. It's going to be fine. Especially when they're sealed, like this quinoa, come in beautiful plastic containers, completely sealed. So that's my little opinion, Start to sacrifice a little bit and start to put, especially your investment in food, because the economy that you see now, you think is bad. This is nothing. Another thing I really enjoy, beside the lentils and the quinoa, of course, is pinto beans. I think they're really good. Beans, I enjoy them. You can make incredible pasta with beans. Pasta and beans, one of my favorite meals, with some cheese, complete meal. And guess what? I know it sounds like a farmer, but maybe my origins, after all, I'm from Italy, okay? I'm not from the mountains of, Norway, where I eat walrus. I eat pasta, vegetables, fish. I'm not really a meat eater, but that's okay. This is for my personal choice for survival and also healthy food. Now, the important thing, when you want to start to stock up on survival food, do not stock up on food that you do not use every day. Every type of food I would have for an emergency situation, I normally eat it every day, okay? So this is pretty much the basic rule that I have. Now, another important thing, I think is very important, it's wheat, organic hard wheat. There are a lot of things you can do with wheat. Another thing I like to do also is sprouting. You can have these beautiful big 40 or 50 pounds bags of wheat, and guess what? It's amazing. You can do different things. Of course, you can cook it. You can make this sort of wheat cream. People like. I'm not really into that, but it's good. And also you can, of course, sprout in it. It's incredible. Wheat, it's incredible food, especially when it's organic and GMO free. On the family of wheat, we talked in the past with what is called farro. It's a very ancient grain. Is before wheat, and especially was famous during the Roman Empire. The soldiers, the Roman soldiers, were pretty much feasting. Anyway, they were having a great time with farro. That was the main source of energy. Feasting. I'll find out. Anyway, so that was incredible in ancient grain. It's great with fiber. Also have a lot of energy, complex carbohydrates, and also a lot of minerals. It's incredible. Give me a lot of energy and fills me up. There is the American version. I mean, it's not exactly farro, but if you get natural spelt, spelt, okay? And you can find all these ingredients, shopping them around. I always say go to between Amazon and also Google. You can find out. Of course, Google is pretty much, tool. They can find everything you do, but guess what? Figure it out. Maybe find some other search engines, but do your research. There are still some deals, but prices are going up. So spelt is an incredible meal. Then, one thing I enjoy, in case of an emergency, think about it. Life is going to be pretty rough. It is already rough. But, when things are really going to go sour, sometimes a little glass of wine that I must have every day, at least a glass, and I'm not a drunk. I like to drink only when I am having food. That's the beautiful thing about drinking in a healthy way. You do not drink for the pleasure of drinking. You drink for some sort of almost a company with your food. By the way, red wine, good vitamins B, good for your mood. I don't know. I just feel better when I drink wine, especially during my good meals. So stock up on wine. If you like wine, get good wine. And you don't need to drink wine every day, but when you want to have once in a while a glass together with your meal, even with a very simple meal, that what we've been talking so far is a very simple diet. I know for people it may sound like almost the diet of a peasant, but guess what? The peasant normally eats better than people in town. Would you like to compare some of this garbage, how much money you spend and waste, first of all, just out of your pocket, to eat things like out of McDonald's or this, all this stuff is mostly chemical made. There's not any more real food. It's just some fat and some soybeans and looks like some food, but it's not even real food. I mean, there have been researchers just now coming out of McDonald's. They've been exposing them. They put like silicone inside some of these items, products, food, like the chickens McNuggets or whatever they are. I mean, it's scary stuff. You, with the happy meal that is not happy at all, is a very sad meal at McDonald's, you can start to buy, for example, a pound of wheat or a pound of lentils or even more. So think about it. And also for your health. I mean, I don't need to tell you. We are what we eat. And this is important, first of all, because there is no more healthcare. For many of us, we've been cut off by this fascistic system called Obamacare. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. Guess what? Obamacare, it didn't make my care affordable. It just destroyed my care. Because now I'm without healthcare. Because I'm not going to pay extra few $1,000s a year, several $1,000s extra a year, just because they forced me to buy a product I don't want. I was happy with my former health insurance. They destroy it. So, we need to be healthier, okay? Anyway, speaking about health, this is pretty much just some ideas, just to think a little bit, because we must really now start to think about all the details. What else? If you want to help the show, I told you, go to zanna.us or go to the lovegunsfreedom.com and please download any of my music. Also, there is another site that I created. It's called zannaart.com. I do paintings and other things. Also, another gift I have for you guys. If you are into handguns training, I have a new site, completely free. It's called handguntraining.tv. Guess what? It's every day or almost every other day. Every time I go to the range, I do a blog about training, and also I start to upload videos. And it's going to be like, I'm not a professor, I'm not an instructor, I'm just probably a little more than the average guy. Let's say I call myself a professional student. It comes down to the art and science of self-defense. But I know that I know a little bit more than the average, and whatever I know, I share it with you. So go to handguntraining.tv, okay? And also join my newsletter if you want there. So pretty much I can give you updates on all my new videos. Okay, we are pretty much at the end. Guess what? We have other incredible guests coming next Sunday. And I can give you the heads up because it's important. I'm working very hard to bring you here the most important pieces of information. And I like to find the sources. I don't like just to read from books or from newspapers. And I have, for example, next Sunday, Pastor Chuck Baldwin from Montana. I used to be also U.S. President candidate in 2008 for the Constitution Party. But we will talk about pretty much how the government is being infiltrating and has infiltrated the churches, controlling the churches, and also with this program under Homeland Security to use the pastors, it's called the Clergy Response Team, to control us, the people. In a case of martial law, they pretty much will use the brainwashing of Romans 13 and the pastors, some pastors, many pastors, they're now few thousands, I think probably more than 20,000 around the country, that being under the payroll of Homeland Security, that pretty much they will tell us to be good slaves. Guess what? I'm not your slave, and I hope you're not either. And that's why I say, even if you're not a Christian, say, I don't care because I don't go to church anyway. That's fine. That's your right. But at the same time, you must know that this is happening. Because when we know that this church has been infiltrated by a fascistic government, and this didn't just started with Obama, this started with Bush, okay? And Obama, of course, continued the same plan that Bush had. We must be aware because we must stop this. We must understand how the rest of the population will be controlled when they're going to be coming for our throat, okay? So that's why I'm bringing this information. So Pastor Chuck Baldwin next Sunday. Now, all I want to say, we are here for a limited time on this planet. We've been given, we don't know how long, maybe a month, maybe a year, maybe 100 years. But, sooner or later, it's all going to be over. Guess what? Let's use this time in the best way we can. Let's not be afraid. Let's stand up for something. Let's stand up for something. That's the most important thing. Start to stand up for something you believe. Hopefully what you believe is freedom, or what you believe is goodness. And it's our duty, after all. We don't need just to win, but we need to at least try. That's what I say. And the last phrase I would like to leave today with you, my friends, resistance is never futile. Resistance to tyranny is a duty and a pleasure. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And with God's help, I will talk to you next Sunday. Ciao.